各位亲爱的网友朋友，大家好。
Hello everyone.
年轻人真是不容易。
It's not easy to be a youth these days.
升学，要恋爱。
You need to find a good relationship. You need to have a good career.
工作方向。
And you need to set up a family.
接下来就可
There
能
are various directions.
如果长辈没给你留下财富的话，
And if there is no inheritance, then you may have issues trying to buy a house or a
接下
car.
来给你的小孩子要培养上学。
And after that, you need to nurture your kids
而且现在的
so that they can be
就是到了
excel
现在这个年轻
in
人
their
这一代
studies.
多数国家的这些年轻人啊，兄弟姐妹很少。
And these days, many people have very few siblings at home.
哎，你发现
Look at the case of
不
China.
讲究计划生育的
Because
国
of
家呢
birth
人们也不
control,
多生
They have
最多两
very
个
few kids in a family.
但是如果自然生育的话，因为母亲都生10来个孩子正常。
If there is no
就是这么多呀，
birth control, it is very common for families to have more than 10 children. And that's why there are some countries they have
这是正常。
populations
这是比
in
较健康
billions.
的妇女正常生育的数量啊，对，所以年轻人这个事情特别多。
So young people have many issues that they have to settle.
哎，都给了年轻人，可是年轻人经常是
They have a lot of
非常
pressure,
不知
and
所措，
but many a times they find it very difficult
应该说压力
to
巨
settle
大
them
对，
or to
那我
resolve
想
them.
那他们有哪些具体的问题呢？
So
我
what are
想
the issues that they
学生
face?
这个问题很多呀。
Master, they
我就
have
先
many
问一个
questions.
替一个网友问一个关于
I'm
工作
going to
跟
ask
事业
on
的问题。
behalf of one of our internet
是来
friends,
自于
and the
韩国的
questions
小
is
徐
about
他说
work
师
and
傅好
career.
因为疫
It's
情
from
啊
Korea.
我的日子变
小
得很苦。原来我在免税店工作的时候，
The person
月收
said,
入可以
"Hello,
达到
Master.
1000万
My
韩
life is
元
very
就相
tough.
当于
When I
8000
started
美金
in the
吧，按照
duty-free
现在的
shops,
汇率啊。
My
但是
salary
因为
was
疫
about
情呢，游客也没了
7,600
啊，那我呢
USD.
只能够
But
在
because
建
of the
筑工地做工
pandemic,
直到现在我
the
工作
tourist
做到
number
省的时
reduced,
候，
and now
这
I
份
have
打
to
工
work
呢
in the
也不是个
construction
固定的
sector.
职业，所以呢找对象
And
也
the
有
job
问
is
题，
very
也缺
unstable.
乏自信。我
And
很
because of
迷茫
that, I lost my
就向师
confidence
傅
and I
请
felt
教。
lost. So I like to seek
这个
Master's
有点意
advice.
思哈在免税店
This is
通
interesting.
常是卖
He
比
worked
较
in the
高档的
duty-free
高
shops.
级的
In the
贵重的
duty-free shops, usually they
奢侈
sell
品
more high,
免税店
more
就是奢侈品
expensive or more branded
或者免了
products.
谁的税啊？
免了关税，国家
What
的
type of
税消费者是
tax
交
is
钱
it? Well, it is actually good and service tax.
哎，咱先不分析它的商品哈。
对
Let's not
给我
analyze
的
the
印象就是
products.
死贵死贵的。
But my impressions about duty-free shops is that the items there are very expensive. I didn't know that a product can cost so much and make so much profit.
跑现在工地上去啊
So what happened? Why did he work in a construction site? That's because of the pandemic.
不让游客进
And because of the pandemic, a lot of countries actually locked down. And because they locked down, the numbers of tourists reduced significantly, and in fact, some don't even take in any tourists.
跑别的地方专门跑建筑工
But
地
why
呢
did he go to work in a construction site? Why did he look for other job? I'm not sure, but it could be because of the pandemic. Many industries suffer tremendously. The food sectors or the service sectors, they are not hiring. So probably because it's the construction sector that's still hiring, and that's why he got a job in the construction sector.
越是疫情越
I just feel that because of the pandemic, it seems that the construction industries is booming.
广告
对，看来韩国也这样哈。
韩国也是这样，越来疫情，人们越喜欢买房。
I think a lot of people end up buying properties. I think in Korea it's probably the
很多
same.
人就居家工作了嘛。
And I think part of the reason is because because of the lockdown, many people end up working from home. And because they work from home, they want to expand their space. So they turn their home into an office. And that's why there's a rush to buy for bigger units.
农业地不让开发嘛。
Yes, indeed. And also, because of many rules, many land laws, they do not allow constructions at the farming site. They want to maintain the agricultural use of the site, of the land. So as a result, they have to redevelop the old existing buildings and turn them into new buildings.
他就是因为那个免税店就
Yes, indeed. That's why he shares that because he lost his job in the duty-free shops, he ended up working in the construction site. But he lacked the confidence, partly also because due to the insecurities of the job. And I think the other reason could be because the salary is not as high as before. My thought is that if the pandemic kind of settled, and if the duty-free shops business is still not good, would you have issue of not getting money? Because I know that in sales there are also certain techniques, but it is not content rich. And because of that, anybody can do that job quite easily. I'm sure that if you look for 10 people, 8 people will be able to do the job well. But if you are talking about someone who do data analytics or some software development or even doing construction, it is a more specialized job and it's not something that anybody can do it. And I think probably he picked construction because it is more a manly job. I think it's fine. It's just that in this era, people who are in the construction site is very different from the past. The impressions is completely different. In the past, when my dad was a construction worker, he has a lot of time the construction workers don't have a house. But these days, before when I was in Taiwan, I find that the construction worker earns a lot. It's actually earned more than some engineering people. Even in Canada or Vancouver, the construction workers also earn a lot more. They are richer than what you can imagine. I think going forward, say in China, in Shanghai, in Beijing, and some developed cities, they will have these issues as well. If you are established and you are good in some specializations within the construction industries, you can actually make a good living. So I think that since he have the chance to work in the constructions, I think maybe because he's in the construction sites, he managed to make a living. I think he should try to learn as much as he can in the industries and be a very skilled construction worker, because after that, when he becomes a technical expert, he will be able to command a higher salaries, and I think the future is pretty bright. So, Master, you are saying that the construction industries in the future, there's actually a good futures for him. But in a duty-free shops, he may not have a good future because there's a low barrier of entry, and it may be easy for anyone to do the job well. So I think for him, it is important for him to seek a skills in a specialized area, and that will help him to get a better future. Yes, as I mentioned to you that in Taiwan last time, there is this old craftsman. He has some disciples, but his disciples, all after they learn the skills, they leave him. Well, the salaries that his disciple made was like double or even triple of a typical university graduates. Well, do not be bothered because of the working environment that's not so good, but actually it is a way to make a living. I think it is important that you are able to survive, and I think for people in Korea, people who put a lot of emphasis on beauty, but even if you are in the construction industries and if you are able to find some form of technical expertise within the sector, you will have a good future as well. Because of the pandemic, if the future continue to be stable, the economy continue to be stable, you may not be able to earn as much. in the duty-free shop.
我记得有一次我们在八卦讲
Yes,
八
I
卦
remember
内幕
that
的那
one
个
of
见
the
证的时候，
content
就是
in Energy
韩国
Bagua
釜山金电
testimonial,
厂一位老
there
先
is
生
a
他就是一个建筑公司的
practitioner
老板嘛
who
哈
is
他
in
同
in
时有
in
15个
Busan
工地在
in
开着工
in
啊
Busan in
对，所以你
Korea.
看其实这个
He
建
was
筑
a
业是很好的，那
construction
他多需要
boss.
可靠的，然后
So
技术又好的这些
he's doing very well.
对，就是
对
这样的机会还是有很多的。
So indeed, there are a lot of opportunities even in the construction industries. My suggestion is that since this is the only opportunity for you, and since you have the chance to work in a construction site, then I think you should use these opportunities to learn as much as possible. Well, after 3 years, you will be a technical expert. With content expert, you will be a excellent craftsman, and that's definitely better than to become a generalist. And 8 to 10 years later, you will be an independent master, and your salary would have accelerated
也要
significantly.
做一个有心人，哎，不是纯
So
粹只是
when you become good in the constructions, you want to work with heart. So I think the important question is you should ask yourself what is more important. You want to be practical, or you want to have a job that provides you with a good to look good, a look good type of job. Because in Korea, people love to look good, and that's why less people are willing to join the construction industries because they feel that the industries is too tiring, and there's no good factor in it. So as a result, for him, if he's able to excel in it, he will be able to
是
to exceed
对，
and be successful.
他变苦了， 哎，
Actually, I have a question. Why is it that last time you used to make $7,600 US? Why is it that when the pandemic comes, you have to end up in the construction industry? My question is, 7,600 USD per month is a lot of salary. Where did the money go to?
年轻人每个人
How do you spend your money?
的钱都去哪儿了？
Yeah, indeed, many youngsters ask themselves, where did I spend my money?
对，是
So when you have money, when you earn high salary, do you spend wisely or you frivolously spend the money, misuse the funds?
先立业，
Actually, it is important when you're in your youth to pick the right industry, to pick the right career. I think for anyone who is responsible for his or her own future, you would give this a good thought, because he needs to, as he move on with his life, he will need to support his family. You always need to have this. You need to have this nurture, this crisis. You must have this. You must have this awareness that crisis can happen anytime. So you need to be flexible and versatile. So you definitely need to have this mindset that although you may have a good career, a stable career, and with good salaries, you must make sure that you save for rainy days. Have two of you ever dig a mouse hole? I'm sure you never, because you are ladies. So when we're young, we never feel that we are poor. But the adults will say that you have to dig the mouse hole because there are a lot of food in it. Actually, I was really young then, so I watched those a bit older kids, and they start to dig the hole. And when they dig the hole, I saw it. A house. It is not just one room. No. There are several rooms. There are at least three. There are at least 3 stores or some, and they have 4 to 6 bedrooms, and they have toilets. And a different, the three store are at various locations. And depict the store, it is at the good side, so that it will not be affected by flooding. So the mouse are actually very smart. They have this realization, this crisis mode, and they know where to keep their food. And if I compare you to a mouse, you're not even as good as a mouse. You don't even think about this. You don't even have this realization that it is important to be always be on your toes.
做什么工作来着？当然挺挣钱的，就是他挣钱最少的时候，过不去的时候，那他也要存这个10块5块。
There are some people who want to always keep some money. When you make less money, even if they make less money, they want to have this idea of saving. Saving is very important. I think this is a good value to maintain. I think this is a good value by the Chinese. So you want to have like the mouse to have storage to keep some food.
是吧？那时候过日子嘛，国家如此，小家更是如此，对不对？哎，所以做一个人来说，一定要有忧患意识。
So as a human beings, we want to have this awareness of a crisis. So we are constantly aware of crisis. And the other thing that's very important to note is that we should try not to overspend. We should not try to buy on credit. Actually, this is a common phenomenon in developed countries. This is actually a very bad habit. A lot of people go to money lender when they gamble, and they end up in an atrocious life. Because you end up paying a lot of interest. So my suggestions to you is try to borrow less money. Try not to borrow too much because of the high interest rates. Otherwise, you may have difficulties trying to repay back.
借钱是最难的，借钱远远不如抢钱啊！对，你也不能去抢，抢又是犯法哈。所以就是自己去干活去挣钱。
So what is important is that you use your own abilities to make money and save money. This is a good long-term wealth management.
哎，对。
I remember that person. That person families is run a restaurant business. The wife, it is a typical Chinese wife. Every month, she wants to save at least 25%. She doesn't invest in anything, and that is in fixed deposits, and that's a long-term savings, like 5 years or 10 years. She locked this money and she said that this is her money. And indeed, it becomes very helpful to the husband because the husband borrowed extensively and they owe a lot of interest. And because of the wife, they managed to get the husband out of the difficult situations. I think as long as you do not steal, you do not rob, and you do a normal work, even construction workers, I think it's perfectly fine. It may look very dirty and shabby, but it's not. It is also very technical. There are skills involved. My dad was a construction worker. And that's why I have a different perspective of constructions and a certain view of constructions. And it's very unique. Actually, I admire them. I admire their skills. In modern era, it's actually very interesting to be in construction. So it is a career path that you can pursue. So I hope that through our sharing and through our sincere advice, you will start to like construction industries. Do we have a present for him? Yes. And he's wearing really well. You look at him. He looks really good looking.
刚到温哥华，我那个桌子上吃饭桌上铺的塑料布就是这颜色，
哦，
那2块钱一张。
那我知道这小徐这衣服的价格了。
哎，对，给小徐个金银树。
So this is the
希
T-shirt,
望你的人生有所建树。
and I hope that you
你
have
长得挺帅的，
established
将来一定有一番成就
life.
的
I'm sure you look pretty good
做
looking.
建筑慢慢
You
做
will
好
have
了
a
做光
good
头了
career and a good future.
希望你早点发大财哈，小徐。
Wishing you that you will become rich very
找
soon.
对象问题，有了钱就找对象。
Thank you,
很容易了
Masters. Well, once you establish your career, you don't have to worry about looking for a life partner. That will be easy.
说就来了哈。
甜蜜的问题哈。
好，
好，师傅好，我叫 Jaden Lee。
Master, my name is Jaden. I'm from LA. I just graduated from high school and I'll be going to universities. And during my final year of my high schools, I have girlfriends, we love each other, and we have been accepted by our universities. From young, since young, she's a vegetarian, and she's very bright, and she even went to attend some invited by the LA government to give a speech. During this time, I feel that she is actually better than me, but I didn't feel I don't have any inferior complexities. In September, we'll be going to different universities. She'll be going to UC Berkeley, and I will be attending UC Santa Barbara. My question is, how can we maintain this long-distance relationship? What should I do? I'm a little bit afraid to lose this relationship, so I'd like to seek master advice.
觉真先说2句。
What do you think, Jason?
师姐，那他这2个大学相距多远呢？
My question is, how far are they apart? UC Berkeley should be in the north of LA. Santa Barbara should be at the mid of LA.
大
So
概开车的话得
6个小时。
If they drive, it's about
不到。
less than 6 hours, probably like 3 to 4
还
hours.
可以哈。
That's fine. That's not too far, actually.
也有点类似异地恋的感觉哈。
It feels a little bit like long-distance relationship,
对，
哎，
还好不是分
还
开国
可以
家呢。
but I think it's still
我觉得你至少
acceptable.
1个礼拜可以见一
At
面。
least you can try to see each other once a week, right?
俩礼拜也行啊，反正意思就是说得常见面儿。
But the point is that even if you see each other once a month, it's fine. You need to just constantly be in contact.
考
Contact.
试的时候就俩礼拜，不考试的时候。
So maybe before, when it's exam period, you try not to see each other so frequently. Otherwise, you try to meet frequently.
大学以后会非常投入的到
对
大学的学习和社会生活中去。
这个女孩上的就是更优
The
等的
girl, the university that the lady is attending is a more branded university.
对对对。
It is more excellent
那
in
这样
terms
其
of
实
ranking.
女孩就更聪明哈。
So I think it means that the girl is actually smarter, and it gave the guy pressure. But actually, for the guy, he probably feels okay
欣赏
now.
他的这种气度的，就是就是你很优秀，哎，我也不错。
对。
So
优秀我能跟
he feels that you are very good, I'm not too bad as well.
啊，这个也
不是
一种。
你这姑娘你是很优秀，但是你还选择了我做男朋友，你看我也很优秀吧
对，？我身上一定有你欣赏的
对，
特质，
这个心理还挺好。
我觉得很健康。
I think he has a very
我真没那么
good
自信
he's full of confidence. I think it's good.
但是我觉得你毕竟还没结婚哈。
But I feel that you are
还是
not
要有点危机意识
married yet. You still want to be able to have this awareness of
考
crisis
的也是好大学。
because she is
你经常不在
pretty
跟前保护
and she
是不
is
是啊？
very smart
不是我不
and
能
she's
吓唬
in a
她
good
别说
university.
那
So
蒙
you
眼
need
去
to
死
have
了，
this
你不能这样嘛，
awareness,
对不
this
对？
crisis awareness.
对，你对象叫人抢跑了，但是你最
So
好
it
别
is
知道。
very likely
别不能
that
这样说，对不对？
someone else in the new university will pursue her. So I think it's important for you to catch up with her, to be as good as her, because you will not be able to protect her because she's quite far away.
女的对不对？可是反过来说，女的是个侠客，男的是个书生的时候，这个时候就是侠客保护书生，这书生就觉得不值钱了哈，就容易被放下。
So you must make sure that you do well as well.
也有美女和野兽的关系哈，
啊，
不一样的。
野兽是强者，知道吗？ 美女的强只是美
美女
强在美上头，对不对？那野兽的强在于雄壮，对不对？
Well, it is not. You
对，它俩
cannot
是
use
偏
beauty
配
and the
啊
beast as a
它
form
俩
of
的这种
analysis
配角，是吧
to
但是说
to
男的如果说
compare
女的考了大学
because the
或者你
beauty
的收入
the beauty is
或者你的
actually
职
has
业不
has
如
a
女的那么
good
光
look
鲜亮
and the
贵
beast
的
is
话
actually very strong.
你
Each has
还是要小心
each has its own
所以
expertise
这位叫啥来着？
or
Jaden.
qualities.
杰登
So I
杰登
think
哈
Jaden,
这顿小子，你小心点儿哈。
you have to be
啊，你最好
careful
搬近一点儿哈。
because the
如
best
果
is
能
you
够
shift
挪到
closer.
哎，说这
If
个
you can
美
move
国大学
close
是可
to
以转
UC
学的
Berkeley, it's better.
对不对？
Because yes, indeed, master. Because in the U.S. systems, you can actually move from one universities to other universities. So if you are very serious with this relationship, you want to shift to closer, so that you'll be able to stay. You will be able to spend more time with
你不能说
her.
远距离操控，那羊全跑叫狼给吃了的，是吧？你还是看好你的羊，好吧？
Because it is like you want to watch over your sheep
眼睁睁地叫狼给吃了
carefully,
所以还
otherwise
是
the
你要
wolf
是
will
离近一
come
点儿这个
and snatch
这
your sheep
有一个
away.
关系哈，它这是恋爱关系嘛
恋爱？关系。对
So
恋爱
your
关系
relationship,
它
you're
不是一
already
个
in
那
a
个
relationship.
那种网络的
So it is not
关
an
系从
internet
对
type of
网络
relationship.
说
No.
你在印度，我在
The
美
internet
国
type
哈
relationship,
我们
one
通过
can be
网
in
络通过
India,
视频
one
就可以
can be
分
in the
享
States.
哎，你看我现在设计
And
这样子，你的理念是什么样子？这个可以通过电话和网络
that
视
is
频
something that you
是可
can
以处理
connect
的，对
through
不对？
internet,
但是
right?
恋爱关系，
But if
你说需
a
不需要
couple
有这个
relationship, you do
身
need
体
to
靠得更近一
spend
点才
time
好？
together.
有啊，
You
是不是
need
啊？
to
手拉手
physically
肩并
spend
肩
time,
的
like you
就
need
是
to
说
hold your
手
hands,
指头能碰到
and
一
you
起，
must
对
be
不对？
able to touch each
啊，
other's
手可
hands,
及
right?
对。
像这样子
啊，
找
对，你要
距离
能够挨到一起。
So
这个距
if
离
possible,
才叫
you
恋
want to
爱
be
哈。
close to one
哎，
another so that
如
you
果
can
特别远
develop
距
the
离，就
relationship.
一言半载的
But
碰不
once it
到头就
becomes
是
a
一下
long
的时候，
distance
我
relationship,
觉得这
you
叫
may
精
feel
神的
apart.
遥不可及。
这
And
是
so
精神的
slowly
这
啊。
叫远
you
水解
find
不了
that
近
you
渴。
drift.
对，中国历史上就有这个知名的案件哈，那个案件就是牛郎织女，
In China,
对
there is this
一年见一次
stories
面
that they only meet once
哎，还总叫雷
in
劈
the
啊，所以这
once
真
a
的
year.
麻烦这个，所以根本见不着面儿，这个不是一家人，这是流浪
So
者
if you can't see each
啊
other
对不对？而且还
frequently,
很容易出问题
then it is very
啊，对
difficult
不
to
对？
maintain
你
the
看这只小
relationship.
白羊哈，又肥
So it's
又
like this
靓
sheep
丽
is
啊，收入又
beautiful
高。
and
这
it
个
is
大灰
high
狼来的就多
salary.
了，不
What
止一只
happens?
哈。
The wolf
所
will
以
come.
小子你要有危机
So
意
you
识
must have this
啊
crisis
你要有危机意识
awareness
对呀，
so
要
that
有
you
危
want
机
to
意识
move
近一点
close
啊，放好你的羊啊，
to the
看好
sheep.
你的狼啊，做好你的狼哈，对，这样才行哈。对，让自己的从能力上变得更强大。
So that you
其
want
实
to
更
make
有利
yourself
于你
to
的恋
elevate
爱
your
更有利于
abilities
你的婚姻。
because it will help with your marriage.
师傅讲的
with your relationship.
是自己一定要强大。
Master,
再
what
一
you
个
say
就是
is
说
so
还是要
true.
触
You
手
want to
可
make
及
yourself
能够
stronger
转学是最好的。
so
我
that
提
if
到
you
这个
can
问题哈，
change
比较
school,
盲目的
that
年
is the
轻人就是
best.
说那不可能啊，我
But
们其实不是谁强谁弱问题，我们
some
就是
may
一见
feel
钟情
that it is not
就
about
一见
who is
钟
strong and
情
who
而
is
没有一
weak.
种
We just
了
love
解
each
没有一
other.
种力量
It's
悬
just a
殊之
form of
间的
love
这种
at
感
first
应的
sight.
话哈，
But this love
我
at first
觉得
sight, over
你
time,
随
it
时
may
变
fade.
成像《金刚经》讲的
如梦幻泡影了。
梦幻泡影，
It will become
立
like a
刻就随
bubble
时
and
消
it
失
can
爱情
burst anytime, and this
因为爱
relationship
情
can
是
just
泡影
burst.
中的泡影。
Why? Because the
啊
relationship
爱
is
情就像
something that
泡影
is
中爆炸那
it's
一泡
something
啊
that
那
is
那个
very
气泡爆
difficult
炸的那个光而
to
已
put
它
your
是虚
fingers
中
on.
之虚啊
It is
对
very
它形成这个泡
fuzzy
影要
and
有
it is
实质的
very
那些泡那些水
unreal.
那些
It
气
is
氛
like a
那个空
bubble.
气那个空间才有它爆的机会，知道吗？那个都是虚的，何况那个泡影呢？所以爱情它出现一定建立在很
So
多
a
的具体条
relationship
件之
needs
上
to
的，对
build
不对？
on a lot of
有时候
foundations,
那
a
你
strong
说吧就是你
foundations.
不要在行啊，
爱情要建立在啥条件之上啊？
对呀，
那不成
怎么样？
两个空气谈恋爱吧？
Because you cannot develop the relationship just across
才有
space,
了
right?
好感和
So you cannot just like one another. You need a lot of other factors involved.
就中文来讲，就来电了。这个
那还得接触啊！你不接触怎么来电呢？
嗯
So
是
you,
的
but you
首先
still to have that love
到
at
了一
first
个近
sight.
的距离，对不
You
对？
still need
才
to
能
have
够
close
带给你
contact.
好的感觉
You
是吧
need to have
对，所以爱
sharings.
情
You need
还
to
得
have
好朋友
memories.
也好， 亲密关系也好，其实还有一条很重要，就是说我在需要你的时候。
And what is important is that when I'm in need, you are able to help me. When I'm sick, you'll be able to care for me. Or when I'm suffering under pressure, you are there for me. So that is so important. The physical presence is so important.
那就两根棍儿嘛，就没什么关系，它得有一个交叉关系嘛，对不对？
And that's why this connectivity is very important.
那个前因后果，它是有些具体的
事情，
有具体的这个质量的东西，对不对？
对。
比如说这个长得好看呐。
Indeed, there are certain prerequisites, like good look is one of them. The guy is good looking. The guy has high salary, is good career.
说的这几点，遥距离也都可以产生。
是可以产生，但是解决不了爱情问题。
对，这个
Master, these are prerequisites, but these are not love. These are just the prerequisites. I think the love is built on physical affections as well as mental connectivities. So there is something that you need to be together. You need to be physically together. It is like cooking a meal. You can keep looking at people cooking the meal, but it is different from you actually doing it, cooking yourself, and to improve on your skills by looking at cooking channels doesn't improve on your skills, does it? Some people who love dumplings, they look at people eating dumplings on TVs. Does that satisfy their desire for dumplings? No. They need to physically go out and buy some dumplings and eat it to be able to satisfy themselves. That's what it is. And that's why in the loving relationships, you want to have access to the other person.
人家是一位老大学生哈，已经70年前的大学生，就是说爱情啊。
So what is love?
做到相濡以沫，觉真啊，物理你讲一讲，相濡以沫是啥意思？
相濡以沫就是两条鱼相互吐口水。
啊，为啥吐口水啊？
对，就是我吐口水在你身上，你吐口水在我身上。
What does that mean? It is just spitting saliva on one another. That's this saying that there is a story and say that many extract the water from the pond, and that's why left with two fish, and the fish are dying soon. So what do? So suddenly the two fish have this desire to help one to save the other because there's no water. So what do? So I will spit saliva to help you to survive, and you will split saliva so that the other fish can survive. And in order to let you to be better, there's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of devotion so that two of them can overcome the crisis together. So that is the stories before, and we use this term to describe the couple's relationship as in needing one another and helping one another and be devoted to one another. So taking care of one another till old age. And because if the relationship is a long distance relationship, then it's very difficult to reach to this level.
这个关系哈，当然什么样造成的爱情和婚姻都有，什么样情况都有。我们之前也分析过，就是我讲的狼羊哲学。
哎，这个我特别赞同。
In the past, I also shared
个性强烈的哈。
there are two characters in the relationship. One is a stronger character, one is a softer character. It's like a sheep or a wolf. So if you have two very strong characters, then the relationship would not be able to last very long. So they need to compromise one another, or they need to complement one another.
洞房花烛夜闹出人命来，对不对？警察立刻在现场，只要等着抓人就完了，肯定是会死人的，对吧？
对，那两强不好相恋的。
对，那不是恋爱，那是二虎相争，必有一死。
So when you have two tigers, definitely there will be one that will be the winner and one will be defeated. So in a relationship, you do not want to have two tigers together. So you want to find someone that can complement one another. When you have two parties that can complement one another, that would be very good.
哎，可厉害了啊！那个手啪一挥，一个壮汉啪就飞出3米之外。
Say the guy is very good at martial art.
他老婆本来在屋里躺着睡午觉呢，
The wife was sleeping in the room.
醒来之后，他
When the
老婆
wife
不知道
wakes
我们在院子聊天呢。
The wife doesn't know that we were there.
哦，来了。
And just said, "Where are you?" And immediately he changed.
咋了？哎呀，这家伙又给我骂一顿呢。这明明是他做错的，还怪我。啊，我们就按下。
We were just
你武功这
thinking,
么高，
you are
一挥
so
手
good
一个壮
martial
汉弹出
artists.
去
Why is it that when you're home, you're so scared of your wife?
哎呀，为这个事儿啊，我就很纳闷。
And I
我就
was,
问人祖师
and I asked my
人祖师
master
说不
why,
是那样的。
and my master
这
said,
个
"No, it's
如
not
水点
like
豆
that."
一物降一物，
对，
是不是啊？
真的。
哎，那对方根本不会武功，
The other
就一张
party is
嘴
not
就
good
像一
at
张无
martial
形的
art,
天网
but
将
the
他
mouth
捆得
is so
牢牢
sharp
说哪儿都不敢
and
去，是不是啊？
managed
他
to
的武术是这么练
capture
成的
her,
他为了有
the
一天
husband.
练武练成为名
So
家
it's
之后
different from
不
the
受老婆
husband.
的指挥和捆绑，所以才拼命练武，拼命跺脚。他家那个砖头哈，都跺下去1米深了。那一脚
And
下去
because
就
of
是
the
他老
wife,
婆了
he practices
一脚下
martial
去
arts
嗷一
even
下
more so
千
that
斤
he
坠
can be very
他就
strong.
想踹死你，这武功才练到这个程度，结果已经练成了，还叫他老婆折磨。
就像那个。
But even though he becomes an expert in martial art, he's still tortured by his wife.
所以其实他们的结合哈，
So their
后来我们又
combinations.
问这老张
Later
哈
we
这
ask
个
him,
武术大师
this
说
martial
你们
art
当年
art
是
master,
怎么个姻缘
why
哈
does the
这个武功
relationship
这
what
么高
caused
你
you
还
and
会
your
恋爱
wife to be
说
together?
嗨
And
当
he
时
shared.
其实我就就是他老婆追着他了。
Actually, the wife is the one that go after him because he's good at martial art, but he's not good in the relationship. And he said the wife just constantly going after him.
张大师的
And we asked the wife, "Why do you like him?"
那个时候啊，
And the
就
wife
2个
said,
动作，燕子三抄水，嚓嚓嚓的，哇，啊，像飞人一样，太厉害了。
"He's so good in
这
his
是武功
martial
中
art."
的一个燕子三抄水这个动作啊，这动作有难度，但是做得好的话特别
帅的要命
英姿。飒爽，帅呆了。
哦，
他一下就哇
迷住，了师娘。
这才是我心中的
Because he is so good in his
帅
martial art, I'm captivated by his
他不
skills.
会呀，啊，所以之后这个我就跟定他了。
But
所以
I
我
don't
得
know
保护
martial
啊
art, so I decided that I will want him to be my bodyguard.
对他们家地基矮了1尺。
对，所以我对这感悟哈。
So
和
my
他的爱
realization
情
is that their
欣赏的这个
relationship,
人是欣赏这个人身上的
the
某种能
person
力
is attracted to a
这个
certain
能力变成了美，
ability of that
这个能
person.
力吸引了师娘，
So it is his ability
是吧？
that
能力
attracted
变
the
成了美
wife.
对，
哎，是不是啊？
咱们网友写燕子3条腿。网友
请写出来，燕子三抄水。
哎，真是。
哎呀，
哦，是不是就是形容燕子在湖面上这样溜过这样子？
So
什么
basically,
网友啊，这不是给我拆台吗？燕子三条腿，
so this swallow
说这术语
has
不是白话
is able to like tap on the water and move elegantly. And because his martial art is as good as that, and that's why he attracted the girlfriend who now become his wife.
俺都不知道怎么做的。
好，咱说回老张跟师
哎，
娘。
所以那个张师娘就这么说的啊，燕子
So
三条
that's
腿
why the
惊呆
wife
了我
said,
了
because he's so good in his martial art, and that's why I was so attracted to him, and I want him to be my bodyguard.
啊，对，这有武功大师被这个师娘还是给统治了哈。
你看多
对
厉害，！
他是欣赏他。那这个老张呢，张大师呢，就是又喜欢这个师娘当年
And-
师娘的那种清纯可爱的
And
那种
what
单纯美
attracted
啊
him,
相互吸引嘛。
what attracted, what he found
还
her
有
attractive
几个单给我描
is
述
she is
第一单眼
very
皮儿
哦，
第二个简单，
she's very
第
simple
三个浅薄啊，第四个没心眼儿啊，真的，哎呀，这单纯的
and
哪
very
都把他都套
very
下来
simple-minded
管一辈子。
这叫命。
哇塞，这好大的智
and
慧。
attracted and found her attractive in that aspect.
你这哎觉得病，这用方法就统治它就完了吗？你知道大象最怕的是谁呢？
老鼠，
Do you know The elephant is afraid of what
只是
animal?
论姿态
A
有点类
mouse.
似，对不对？但是它两个之间的大小相
You look at
差
them,
太悬
they are
殊了，对不对？
so
对，它就
different.
怕老鼠钻它的鼻孔。
But the elephant is afraid that the mouse will try to climb into the
责问
nose,
它的钥
the
匙，
trunk,
能吃它的脑子。
or the
所以
ears.
啊，天敌呀，这叫做天敌呀。你比如说公鸡，
Why is it a
公鸡就吃虫子。
rooster eat the worms?
我给你上一些自然知识课哈。
好，
I'm going to give
凡
you
是
some
爬虫类
natural
大到
studies.
蛇，小到虫子，公鸡也好，母鸡也好，一看到，一立刻就来精神了，它一定要吃它。
A hen or rooster,
你见过
when they
公
see
鸡吃
insects
蛇吗？
or crawlers, they will definitely attack it.
看大
如果没看见过，就继续活着啊，一定有一天能看到。
Have you seen rooster attacking
对，
snake?
长羽毛的，
All
专
the
门吃爬在
feathers
地上爬的
always try to
啊
look
比如说
or
这个你没
attack
想到
crawlers.
在你像到江浙地区稍微热带一点哈，
If you go
你
to
看有可
some
能家里
tropical
养个大
areas,
鹅
对，
长
if
脖子
you have
有很多不
some
是为了吃鹅的
goose
是为
in
了
a
让这个
family,
院子里别进来蛇
why?
只
That's
要那个大鹅
because
身影一晃
they do
哗
not
哗
want
一叫
snake in the house.
好了，蛇立刻吓得滚蛋，就
The
不会到
snake
处
is
再来
afraid
了。
of feathered
因为
animal
这个鹅看到蛇就会吞下去。
because the
这个可
goose
是
will
咬
be
鹅无效，咬吧没用。
the snake is
就
the
像
snake is afraid
不
of
管多毒
goose.
的蛇抓着就跑，你咬我无效。
It's just like the
我
eagle.
会中这个毒，那个
The
羽毛
eagle
一支棱，就把那个蛇嘴哈咬那个毒牙就
Will
吞
also go
吞
after
就咬不下
snakes.
去啊，鹅也是一样，哎，所以鹅能吃蛇啊。
And that's why a goose will be able to eat snake in the life
这个
cycle.
老张嫁给他老张娶了他
And
老
that's
婆
why
是
Lao Zhang got a
是
wife
是天然的，
And they're a perfect match.
他们两个就确定了那样一种五行概念，叫相生相克。
也相生也相克。
对
啊，这个是所有夫妻的一个
对呀，
共
他们生了
共
两个小
同的法则
张出来，还
They have two
生了一
two
男一女
kids,
啊
one boy and one
然后这
girl.
俩孩子一男一女又打架，
And the two kids fight with each other. It's just like the husband and wife.
一样在那打。
都是这样。
对对对，所以性格中的互补哈。
对。
而且我们说
So
这
they
个魅力
complement each other in
你
terms
的
of their
魅力吸引
characters.
力
对，能
是
力。
能力。
So the
外
attractiveness
在的
is
长相
ability,
那
is
仅仅是魅力当
capabilities.
中的一个部分。
So the
就是说
appearance
无
is
论这个
only
男
one
女哈
factor, but
他
not
只
the
是长得好
complete
看
factor. If you're
最
just
后一
good
接触之
looking,
后就小白菜儿
a
啊
lot of time when you
小白
find
菜
that
它
the
就
other
挺
person is
挺
good
白的
looking,
啊
but as you
空白
get
的
to know the
很
other
肤浅
person
哎啥
further,
知识都
you
没
find
有
that the person
就
is
很
actually
快就
very
会
shallow and not
被
with not
失去味
much
道
depth.
对，没错，
And you
就没有了
lose
魅
the
力
attractiveness.
哎，所以的话呢，还是说这个
Or
人是有一
charisma
些知识，有一些见
And
地
that's why it's
啊
important for
它
you
对你
to
的魅
have
力
some good
魅力
knowledge
更持久。
and make you more attractive
做
so
学问
that you
学
will
技术
be
的
able.
是越老越有魅力。
So for those who are
所以
in
看，这是 Jaden 他在描述中，他就说，哎，这个女孩很优秀啊，在他心目
in
里
Jaden,
哎
as
一个
we
女
see
生
from his
啊
descriptions,
从小
he
高中的时
described
候
that
就
the
能够
the
去
girl is
加州
actually
的政府
very
议会
is
去演
very
讲的
is very
然后
good.
去推广他自己心里的那个愿望，就是要保护
She
环
has a
境啊
very
是
strong
优化这个地球资
passions
源啊
for
这这
making
些
the earth
所以就是
a
你看
better
这
place,
两个学生
and
之间他们
that's
的
why
这种判断的时候，他就会觉得，哎，这样的女孩是非常
even
优
for
秀的
her,
就是非
when
常
she
有主
even for
动的
Jaden's
而
even
且
for
很有
Jaden's
行
own
动力
evaluation,
又有非常好
he
的
feels
表
that
达
the
能
girl
力
is
啊
very
所以才特
attractive
别
and
有
she's
用
very
这
outstanding.
个这姑娘是很优秀的，
Indeed, the girl is
所以
very
那个
outstanding,
是 Jaden 呐
主要是帮
and
忙
that's
这个
why
，Jaden
Jaden,
Jaden 你得使把劲儿啊，
you
努
have
力
to
吧
work hard
嗯，
to enhance your own
刚才师傅咱
abilities,
网友都
to
听到了
enhance your
啊
own
像
attractiveness.
这个卤水点豆腐，一物降一物。咱网友说了，就是什么锅找什么盖儿。对，就是这么相配的。对，
师傅也有个比方的呀，师傅
啊
您今天不是说的时候也有个什么比方来着的，就是好
什
像
么比方？
就是怎么个弄法的呀？
我的比方呢，就是
Master, you have any
非常肤浅的
comparison?
比方哈
Mine is
在
very
历史
shallow.
上没人这么说过。
对，
你一个人哈，你要有这个，比如说你这个张 Jordan，
Jaden，
Jaden, if you want to develop or nurture it further, if you want to make sure that you hold the relationship, you need greater power and ability. She's very outstanding. You have to make yourself more outstanding. Otherwise, the schools are full of high ability people. And for her, because she is so high ability, she will want to seek a partner with higher ability. Outstanding lady will not want an unattractive guy. No, they will not. Because love is not, it is different from compassion. It is a mutual type of admiration. You admire one another. So there's a big component is that you must admire the other person's abilities or her combined abilities. And because of that, you develop love. So it is not a form of pity. So love is not because you pity the other person. It's not. It's because some form of admiration.
真的。
反正你不会这样子，对不对？至少你会觉得这个爱情会觉得有点窝囊。
对呀。
对，所以你还是要。
So my advice to you is that you want to make sure that you want to make yourself very outstanding. So there are different components, the family backgrounds, the physical attractiveness, as well as the capabilities. My conclusion is that there's a fruit, a type of fruits. Persimmon. It is like persimmon. It doesn't matter how strong, it's still within your control. So if you look at this persimmon, the branch, it is very strong. It doesn't matter how big or how strong the persimmon is, but the support is there. It is strong and firm. The handle that grabs the persimmon is strong. So what can you hold her? Well, how can you hold her? How can you hold? If she is the persimmon, how can you hold her? It is still your ability. It is still your capability. Otherwise, your persimmon will be plucked away by another person. So you want to hold her very tight and firm. So Jaden is not easy for you. So I'm going to give you a prize as well.
也谢谢 Jaden 啊，师傅给年轻人的这个爱情讲了这么多啊，
是，
真是受益匪浅。
哎呀，我还认识 Jaden 呢，他小时候的时候，现在长那么大了。
I know Jaden when she was young. So this is a T-shirt for you. You will have inspirations. And I hope that you can hold your persimmon. I hope that you have success in your relationships as well as career.
师傅呢，接下来我们还要再指导一下女孩子啊。
Master, next is about a girl who is in a relationship. Hello, Master. My name is Bai Nuo Fen. I am from Indonesia, and I am studying in Taiwan. My parents divorced when I was very young, and I have a new father. But my father sometimes seems to have a spirit living his body, and it's not like his real person. If it's not the original him, he likes to scold others. It totally, completely changed to a different person. I'm not sure why is it like that. But I still want to thank him. Because of him, I could feel a father's presence. But the other part is that because my mom and my dad divorced, I'm very afraid of marriage. I do have a boyfriend now, but I feel that the future is full of uncertainties. Love is about giving, but I do not have a very clear future. So I cry a lot and I feel troubled. I'm afraid that my boyfriend will fall in love with another person. I'm afraid that he may cheat on me. Master, how do I get rid of this fear? I think for her growing up years, because her parents divorced, it has a very bad impact on the child. I think for the adults, there must be reason for your divorce. But can you look at the aftermath effect on the child? And many times, the children from such families, they will have fear. They will have fear of marriage. They feel that marriage is very fake. It's like a fake. I mean, I just tell you the truth is that many, especially for guys, they have become afraid of marriage. For guys as well, Master? Yes. Actually, the boys will have more fear for marriage than girl. Do you know why? This is my feeling. Because this is something with genetic. Usually, in the evolutions of mankind, if you are a guy, do you have love? Of course you do. You have responsibilities, but you are afraid to take on these responsibilities. Why? Because regardless of whether the girl has a career or not, but in the DNA of a guy, the guy have this want to take on the responsibility to look after the girl. It is something that is in the nature. So that's why his income becomes an issue. If he says that I'm also a university graduate, but I don't make a lot of money, I find it difficult to even survive by myself. How can I sustain a family? How can I take care of her? How can I support the family? When I have a family and I have 2 kids, the pressure, the economic pressure is very, very strong. And once he starts to feel it, he will have fear about marriage. Indeed, the relationships, there's some practicality in the relationship. When I was young, I have a lot of guy friends, and they have a lot of fear. Actually, the girlfriends are all quite good, and they want to get married, but the guys suddenly back out because they feel that their career is not established. They can't give the wife, the family, a good life. Then the question is, when will you feel adequate? When you feel that you are able to support your family. So let's talk about this fear in guy before marriage. Yes, a more normal guy usually before they get married, they have a lot of friends. They have a lot of brotherhood. No matter how busy they are, they will be able to find some time for their good friends, boyfriend of same sex. It is actually a form of releasing stress. In fact, they do need to have their own sex friends to share some common interests. If you like to do sports, that's the best. And for some who want to drink, have a wine or a beer or two, and it will help them to release their stress.
健康和普遍的
This
一个
is
现
very
象
common, and this is a very healthy way of
你发现一个
friendships.
女生，有的女生一爱上这个男人，
But for
我就
some
听说
girls,
说
I've
特别
heard
残忍
before,
都
some
是不
girls
好
are
是你爱
very
得太亲密了，对不
because
对
they love
这
so
个
much
眼睛
that
里
they
了
do not
就
want
禁
their
忌有的不
boyfriends
行
to
每天
have
天
many
天都
close
牵着
male
你的手
friends.
这样的话就影响到了
So
说
when
哎
this
我和我
happens,
之前那帮哥们儿
对，没有空间
就疏远了呀。
是
那
it
女
would
生呢是
affect
我才 我
the
是后来才
guy
认识你哥们
to
儿，对不对？
continue
我和
his
他没情感，我只爱你一个人，你觉得应该
his
理解
friendship
我的
with
爱
other
情吗？
male
对不对？
friends.
经常说这句话，那你哥们儿重要还是我重要？
Yes, indeed, many
所以
girls
的
would,
话呢，
would
男
say
生
would
一回答
threaten
错
the
了，
guy.
一说实
Who
话，
is more
女生
important?
就
Are
生
your
气了。
male friends more
现在
important
这
or
个你
am
说
I more
爱着
important?
别人，我们说正常情况下没有，他真爱这个女生。等他担心的第二大项问题就是我和我的哥们儿，我这个关系怎么办？
So the guy, the second fear is that what's the relationship with my friendships
其
with
实
other
很
male
多
friends?
男青年哈，他们玩的尤其从小一起长大的小玩伴儿哈
Especially for those
可亲
boys
密了。
that grow
我
up
说特
together
别健
since
康的
young,
亲密哈。
they are
我
very
谁都不
close.
就那种
I
发小
meant
的
very,
那种
very
很多人他们会
healthy
认为
type
这
of
种哥们儿
friendships.
情谊哈，远远胜过夫妻关系。
In fact,
你看中
this
国
type
古代
of
就有个三
relationships
兄弟那个
is more
对
strong
不对？
than
桃园
the
三结义
couple
刘
relationships.
刘备、关
If you
羽、
look
张飞
at
他们在一起
the
就只有
story
兄弟
about
对不对？
the
他们这个他们一起
romance
创
of
事
the
这个
three
关系
kingdoms,
确实挺亲密的。
the
那是性命
the
相
three
交
brothers
对
when they
但是
becomes
其实很多
sworn
人在模
brothers
仿这个关系，就是说大家也是玩的特别好。
is because
所以他
of
们在结
the
婚前，
the bond
很
that
多
they
男孩
shared,
儿
the
看中了
brotherhood
这
bond
个
that they
他的
shared.
哥们儿情谊的关系哈，远远胜过说还没有出现的他将来爱上的那个女孩的亲
In
密关
fact,
系。
this
就是
brotherhood
刚开始
bonding
恋爱的时候
is
说那
much
不行，我这
stronger
3天没见我的
than
朋友们了，我这还
the
能再
girl
聚一聚。
是正常的。
其实那个时
who
候
appears
男生
subsequently.
还是一个男生嘛，还是个男孩子。
他没有结婚的时候，他
So
的生活
before
状
the
态就是这样的。
before the guy
而
is
且他
married,
担心的事儿
he
也
used
是
to
这
have
样
very
子的。
strong friendship
他那
with
时候担
other
心就是这
bonding
样
or bonds with other
是
male
吧？
friends,
再
and he want to
还有
maintain
第
their
3项
friendships.
压力来了，
And the
比
third
如说女
pressure
方
is that
家里头女方
if
父母对他要求
the
过高，
girl
说你
families
现在你
is
们都
too
准备结婚了，
demanding
对不对？有
will
房
give
吗？
added pressure.
你跟你父母住
The
吗？
two
我
of
们
you
不同意。你要买房，最少是租房，对不对？
Do you
你
live
要
with
求
your
条件
parents?
告
Are
诉
you
你必
married?
须有我姑娘的名下的房
A
产。
lot of the wife
结
parents
婚前
are
先把他
very
的名
demanding.
把女儿
They
名字
want
写
the
到你的房产
guy
里去，哪怕
to
是你的
buy
房也得写上你女儿。
apartments or house, and they want to make sure that the wife's
是吧？
or
你
the
看我女儿
girl
比较胖，
names
她
is
吃的比较多，
part in the
她吃了
title deeds.
130万，对不对？这个钱你得还回来吧，我都不要利息了，你加上利息180，
接盘呢，这
对吧？哎，对吧？你
They
你
want
还
to
回
make
这
sure
个钱
that the guy is
有可能就
established.
直率这么说，养孩子容易吗？算算值这么多钱，130万，还回来。有很多就拍案而起，凭什么给钱呢？你卖你女儿呢？
对，
And
矛盾
because
就
of
来了
this, it caused a lot of unhappiness in the relationship because of the demand that the girl's parents have on the
矛
guy.
盾多，是吧？
And it creates a lot of conflicts.
男孩说没钱呢，嗨，年轻人哪有钱呢？不是哪个都不要伸手把父母要嘛，对不对？父母呢要一部分，但是爷爷奶奶亲戚呢再借一部分，对不对？
A lot of time, the
就够了吧
guys don't
先
have
是
are
作为
not
首期
financial
你结了
independence.
婚慢慢挣钱呢，再慢慢再
So
再
what
再
they
花
do is
还
that
银
they
行
will get
对
some
不对？
money
很
from
多
their
给引导
parents,
的，
will
一定要把女儿
support
你们
get
写
some
进这个
support
房子
from the
你女儿已
parents,
经
or
有
they
一
may
钱
borrow
属于
some
女儿
from
名
the
下
relatives
就这样，
to
他
buy
觉
the
得是对
first
婚姻的一
house.
种保障。
But for the
这到
wife,
底
for
是
the
对是
girl,
错，咱们再说哈。
they feel
因为这
that
些
this
事儿来
is
的时
a
候
form of
小伙子有没
protections
有压力？
for the wife.
那个
When
立刻觉得
the
爱情
girl's parents are so
他主
demanding,
要心理上
does it give pressure to the guy?
拉着了
他原来想的美好的爱情哈
Actually, for the
如诗如
guy,
画这么浪
he
漫的爱情
thinks about
一变
how
成金钱数
beautiful the
字
relationship
就开
is.
始数字数
But
钱
then
呀
it's
导
become
致
so
将来的别的姑
mathematical.
娘家是不是都这样
You
数
think
钱呢
about the
当
finances.
如果谈几次都是在乎钱的时候，很多
If
男孩
after
觉悟
going through
哦
a few
只
times
要我
of
有钱我就能
relationship,
娶到任何
he
一个漂亮的
finds
姑娘
that
是吗？
the girl
就开始
families
出现
are
了这样
always
一种
so
错误
money
价值
driven.
对一
He
种
will
新价值观
realize
看
that
法我们很难
as
说这
long
对
as
错
he's rich,
你说是
he will
错了
be
吧
able to
几
find
乎所有的丈
any
母娘
girl
说
as his
小伙
wife.
子钱呢？很多为2000块 块钱翻脸呢？我在那个电脑视频上看到哈，那还不是人演的，人演不会动员几百人演，知道吗？这面大家都约好了，这 这个
I've
男女
seen
双
on the
方的亲属
internet the
在一个很
relationship, the
大的
couple,
一个餐
the
馆，
families
点的满桌子
both
都是菜，他们
families
包了
婚宴酒席了。
婚宴酒席，都
attend
在那开始吃
a
了一半儿
wedding.
这小伙子接新娘，
A
就到
wedding.
婚礼
So
现场
during that
在大
during
众
that
亲戚
feast
好友的这个共同瞩目和祝愿下，对不对？来举行一个婚礼，
they're gonna
非常
have
光彩秀
a
场。
对，
ceremony,
可是呢，
wedding ceremony at the
按照预计
hotels.
的当地的习俗，
But
这些
based
红
on
包
some
进门的那些
local-
礼仪哈，
based
早
on
有的
some
媒人都安排
local
好了，该给的都给了，
rituals,
丈母
they
娘
have
临
to
时发展，
they have to give
就是
some
现场不
like
掏6万块钱，
presents
再加6万块钱人民币，休想把我闺女带走。
but the
这闺
mom-in-law
女说妈，你
suddenly
怎么这
make
样的？闺女
a
不乐意
very
啊，都准备好了，
unrealistic
成为人家
demand.
这个媳妇儿，这都已
And
经约
during
好
the
谈的都说
feast,
好了，
the
该给的
mom
聘礼都给了，对不
asked
对？
for a lot
临
more
上轿
money.
子了之后，你不给那6万块钱就不让出去，
And the
你让我将来到
mom-in-law
人家
said
怎么
that
办
if you
呢？
don't give
怎么抬
this
起头来？
$60,000, I will not let my daughter marry you.
非常戏剧化，
So it was so
戏剧化，而这
dramatic.
个男的气的吧，就
And
跪
the
那儿哭的不
guy-
行，结果哭的呢
The，bridegroom was so
新娘找来个
angry and he cried.
伴娘。
And
伴娘姑娘一说真看不惯了，那小伙子拍案走说：“你别后悔。”
and the
我不娶
bridegroom
了你
says
女儿
that I do not want to
不娶了
marry
走。
your daughter.
结果
I'm
呢
leaving.
女方请的伴娘中的一个姑娘，了解他们整个前因后果。
对，
那姑娘追出来说：“大哥，你觉得我怎么样？反正你已经悔婚了，对不对？他们要钱你也掏不出来，你也不乐意受这窝囊气。你
So
能不
what
能羞我
happened is that
你
one
羞我
of
的
the
话
one of the
我们现在
bridesmaid
就去你们换
rushed
你的
out
衣服和新娘
and
衣服
said,
很
"Do
类
you
似于
want
非
to
常微
marry
短
me
而已
instead?"
现在咱
Because
们就
she
走
know
向婚
about
姻
the
现场
situations.
就愣成就了另外一场
So
婚姻，
the wedding in the
奇
end
特吧？哈，
became the wedding of the bridegrooms and the bridesmaid, and the daughter didn't
我们
become
就
the
我们现
bride.
在说回这小伙子
It was so
当面对
dramatic, a
这个第
huge
3号
drama.
压力来，像台风一般的诅咒，对不对？
我的天，
这
So
个
if the
他敢
par
走
the
进
the
下
girl
一
the
次
girl's
有机会还
parents
敢
are
走
so
进下一次
demanding,
婚姻的殿堂，
what
那
will
小伙子就
happen?
会担心丈母娘不知道还有什么套路在后头等着我呢，
下一回找姑娘没有妈的，
对不对？是不是后头有个万人坑在那等着我呢？
是
那
太可
这
怕了，
自己的亲女儿被他亲娘给坑
给
了。
坑了。
哎呀，
事实上是这样，
So
也
in
是
the
自己的
end,
女儿自杀呀，
the bride
对不对？
committed
好
suicide.
逼出很多问题来。
So it caused a lot
但
of
咱说说这个
problems.
男方
对，
压力是不是就来了呀？
So you think about this. If you are
对
the
不对
guy
还有他
family,
没走向
do you
说
feel a lot of
要
pressure?
去婚礼殿堂的时候，
对，
在婚礼殿堂之前说不掏这么多钱，不拿到我家来，你就休想走向婚姻，
是这个挺多的。
怎么办？
There are many girls'
你们谈归
families
谈
that
对不对
demand a
到
lot
最后
of
就把丈母娘搞
dowry.
定呢，丈母娘就等着收租呢，对不对？
It
不
is
交
like
租的
waiting
就不
for
能跟女儿
rental.
走
The mom-in-law is like waiting for
咱不说这
rental
是对
payment.
错
We are not commenting whether it's right or wrong,
现实就是这样。
but
男方
that's
没有
the
压力嘛
reality. Do you think the
有
guy's
压
family do not face any
所以很
pressure?
多说宁可我老下去，虽然自己很孤独很寂寞，
Some guy
很
may
痛苦
decided that
因为
not
这么
to
痛苦也比
not
让
to
别人一群
wed
人
at
折磨我
all.
好呀。
对，这有一种被逼迫的感觉。
对，所以很多说，那我就长到老玩到老，就是这样。
Some
还
guy
是
just end
恐
up
惧的啊
being single.
所以师傅讲的就是说，这个男生哈，面对婚姻的
So
时候
what
也
Master
是有
shares
这
is
种
that
恐惧
for
的
guy,
方面
they
面
have a lot of fear in
所以咱
marriage.
们当我那原生家庭出现了这个婚姻分裂，
So
父母
in
这一方
if
哈
the family
看
has
到了爸妈打架的残酷
if the
场面
family have
看
very
到了妈妈
bad
或者爸爸在那
up
痛苦痛不欲
very
生的
bad growing
感
up
觉
years, especially if the
经常在
parents
那
are
抱怨经常
divorced
说这件事儿
or there are a
就
lot
像
of
流血一样，孩子们跟你一起流
scolding
血
and
所以当长大的时候
detrimental
看你又结婚
relationship between the
又羡
parents,
慕又
the
恐惧
child will be
我要不
adversely
要找
affected
对象我要不要结
emotionally
婚
是
and
非常的
mentally
矛盾。
是，都别
and
说
will cause a
父母
lot
了
of
有的同学
conflicts
他
if you
哥
want
哈
to
有的
enter
同
into
学
a healthy
他哥
and
呢
normal
就是
relationship.
挣了俩钱儿，完了之后在外头找了个小三儿，就是对妻子对他嫂子不忠嘛哈。结果我这同学就作为妹妹
I have a
都不
classmate.
敢都不相信婚姻，不相信
The
爱情
brother
就生
makes
怕
some
他找
money
一个男的也像他
and
哥一样会这样欺负他
found a lover
家庭的
outside.
这个影响很大
And as a result, the family was shattered.
对这个女生她
And
有
my
时候
friend,
就
who is the
不
younger
理
sisters,
解哈
对
after seeing the husband's, after seeing the
就
brother's
是
family
解放来了
collapsing,
我呢，
it
你看我也
adversely
进修
affected
研究
her,
签到研究
and
命
she
相
has
考察研
completely
究
no
但是我还是总
confidence
觉得
in
哈
marriage.
这个老天爷哈，诸神灵哈，其实非常同情和喜欢勤奋和努力的人。
But I think
所以你不
that
是特别过分，我是勤奋的耕耘我的爱，
if you work very hard, if you're
耕耘
hardworking,
我的家业，
and
是不是啊？
you take good care of your
耕耘我的土地，
family, you
我就
take
会
good
有
care
更
of
多
your
的收获。
career,
这是必
you
然的，
will be
这是老天爷
awarded.
给
You
人
will
间
be
做下的一个定律。
rewarded. This
规
is
律就是
like
这
the
样。
law of nature.
所以我就提出来，
So that's why I
So-
suggest that.
我的青年人是我的未来我创造，
I suggest
那
that
你就有多
you
少个内
create
涵呢？
your own
就是我的
future.
事业我创造，
So you
我的
create your
财富
own
我创造，
career,
我的
you
爱情我
create your
创造，
fortune,
我的
you
婚姻
create
我
your
创造，
wealth, you
我的
create
幸
your
福我创造。
relationship, you
都是你自己
create your
创造
own happiness.
那你
You
回想一下，你
create your
父母
own
亲
marriage.
当时离婚，
Think of your
那些原因
parents
是
when
他
they
们命中注
divorce.
定必须要
Why?
离婚吗？
那也不能
有没有说他们都是人为
Was
造
it
成的问题？
predestined that they would divorce? No.
99%吧。
99%全都是你们自己造成的离
A
婚。
lot of
是你的
time
无知，
they divorce
是你的贪婪，
because of
啊，
your
自
ignorance,
私，
your
对不对？
selfishness,
就是这样而造成的离婚呐。
and that's why
是
you
人
end up
为
in
的呀。
divorce.
所以你的幸福你是自己可以把
So
控
your
的，
happiness
自己
is
可以把它
something
做
that is
好的呀，
within your control.
知道吗？就是这样，请记住哈。
So please remember
我就
that.
说的够多了。
好，感
I
恩
think
师
I've shared enough.
傅。那么咱也鼓励一下小姑娘，
哦，当然当然，
勇敢的去恋爱，
好
勇敢地
So we
勇敢地走
encourage
入
you
婚姻
勇敢的恋爱，
to
去创造幸福。
dare
创
to
造幸
have
福。
a good
对。
future,
我们
to
这
have
里
a good
送给
life.
印尼的白诺芬小朋友哈，
This is Spinal
送
Friend
你一
from
个这个是
Indonesia.
西方人认为的幸运花，是也
So this is a
对呀
clover, a lucky
这个礼
clover.
物太好了。
This
因为
is
很多
such a
的
great
这个
present.
小花朵儿一般都是3个叶子，
Usually it's
4 叶
three
子
leaves.
的很少。
For
啊
four,
那
it's
这个是
very
金属做的
rare.
哈，还旁边镶着很多钻石哈。
And there's
你看这
like
钻石多好啊，
with
像
diamond
牛毛
stops
头
all
挂的钻
around.
石一
It's
样
very
啊
beautiful.
希望你能够收获真正属于自己美好的
And I
人生
hope
哈
that you will
收获
have
百
a
诺芬
good future for yourself.
来
Thank you, Master.
哎，真是啊，年轻人的烦恼真是有，
一番感慨啊。
挺感慨的。
还有问题吗？
有，接下来呢，又是一个小伙子哈，
嗯
他的问题也是很现实，代表我们青年人的一些
You have
想法。
other questions? Yes.
师傅好，
That's
我是
another
郝一鸣
guy.
今年30岁
Hi,
来自美
Master.
国洛杉矶
I am
产堂
30 years old.
我一直以来
How
有
I'm
2
from
个愿
LA.
望第一个
And
是
I have
能
two
够拥有
wish.
幸福的生活，
And one
但
is
是
to
我
have
现
a
在
happy
并没
life.
有很幸福。
But I
我
do
与
not
友
feel
谊
very
国
happy
恋
now.
1年了，
I'm involved in a long distance
尤其在
relationship
美
for
国
a
和
year,
亲人的相处也不
and
理
my
想。
relationship with my families
第
are
二个
not
梦
very
想
good.
是治理环境污
And
染，
second
对
dreams
环
is
保做
that
贡
I
献。
want to
但是除了
contribute
在硕士
to
3年期
the
间研究
environment
土
to the
壤水污染
environment.
以及避免浪
And I
费之外，
spent 3
并没有
years
什么
doing
大
my
的建
masters
树。
trying
深造对于
to
我来说也是
studies
困
the
难重重，
impact of
像一块石头压在我心头。
the crude and the crude
14
oils
岁那年，父母和姐姐来到
on
美
the
国打
land.
拼，我成功地
When I
加入
was
到
14
留
years
守儿
old,
童的行
my
列。
parents and my
经过
sister
15年
came
的
to
漫
the
长等
US.
待，我终于在去年成功移民
And
到
after
美国，
15 years,
与家人
I
团聚。
finally joined my
这
family.
段留守经历让我更加珍视感情，
As I was a
并
stay-back
富有同理
child,
心。
I
但是
have
来到
very
美国
bad
之后，
impact on
我
me.
发现并不是
But
家
when I
人在
come
一
to the
起就一
States,
定会幸福。
I find that
爸
my
爸受
families
到
are
影
not
响，
very
爷爷
happy.
影响极大，
My
思
dad
想还
badly
在旧社
impacted
会
by
没
my
有变化。
granddad, who has
生活
passed
中
on,
经常
and
赌
he is
博、
very
酗酒、
traditional.
酒
He
后还
always
会咒骂
gambled
家人，
and
甚
always
至在去
drunk.
年喝
And
酒
after
后打了
after he
我，
was drunk, he will beat
而且爸
beat
爸
up the
对女
family
士缺
members.
乏尊重，
And my
以前
dad
吵
has
架
little
会对
respect
妈妈动
for
手，
the opposite
也会
sex.
因为性别
When
而
he
逆
he
袭
always
妈
fight
妈
with
和
my
奶
mom.
奶。
And
爸
because
爸
of
是
his
残堂弟
belief,
子，师傅
he
赐他名字
he
为
didn't.
马修，
My dad is
他每周
also
都会
a
听课，
disciple,
可是
and
给我的感
he
觉
has a
是
Dharma
他只
name.
听不修。
But
由
my
此感
he
觉
although he
师傅
listens to
真的
master's
是慧
class,
眼识人。
but my feeling is that he
我母
only
亲是
listens,
一
but
个
he
很
doesn't
强势的人，
cultivate.
如果我没
My
按他
mom is
说
a
的
very
做，
strong
就会
person.
被骂、
If I
被
do not
唠叨。
follow what she said,
因
I
此
will
在
be
他面前，
scolded,
我基
and
本
she will
不会
nag
提
at
出
me.
异议，
And
少
because
说
of
话，
that,
希
before
望
in front of
促
her,
进
I
界
do
限，
not share my
尽量按
opinions.
他说的
I
做。
talk little,
我听
and I
说
try try not to upset her. I heard before that distance makes things more beautiful, but I felt that leaving is not the best option. And based on my current situations, it's not suitable to live on my own. So my question is, Master, how can I have a better relationship with my family members? Sometimes I start to wonder, is it because I did too many bad deeds in my past life and that's why my current life is so full of difficulties? So please, Master, please enlighten me.
也是有些沉重哈。
对，你看他表达的点很多。
He expressed many points.
留守儿童。
First, he was a stay-back child because the parents go overseas. He didn't share the reason why he couldn't join the parents and the sisters to the States. So he joined his family members after 15 years. So for kids like this, it must live in fear, must have a lot of desire for parents, but because they have been away for so far apart, so when he grew up, he has a lot of his too idealistics of the relationship, because when they talk on the phone, the feelings are always good. But it is different when you start to live together. Because when you start to live together, you start to see the other's bad habits. His dad, he's always drunk, he gambled, and he even beat the mom. So when he observed that, has a very bad impact on this child. Because the reality and what he imagined is actually quite different. It is like when you buy something on the internet. You feel that this product is very good and that's why you make the purchase. But when you eventually have the products and when you use it, you find that it's totally different from what you imagine.
最搞笑的是，
男的女的都没搞懂。
对，结果约会来了之后才发现对方真的是个男的。
There are some who make friends on the internet. They end up in a very good friends. But when they end up, when they eventually meet physically, the person may turn to an opposite sex. Why? Because on the internet, when we make friends, we have fake identities. But in reality, you may have a shock.
啊，就是差别巨大，尤其是人情。
Especially if it got to do with our personalities. Can you imagine that after 15 years of not living together, he probably have a very vague idea of how the parents are. So when he eventually moved to the States and lived with his parents, he has a sudden realization that the parents are not what he imagined they were, and his grandparents were also quite different. So he starts to be very puzzled. Should he leave? Should he escape? But he probably currently does not have the ability to live on his own. So he wants to look for a way out. So it's the same suggestions I had for the previous one. You have to make yourself stronger. It is only when you become stronger that because you become so strong, your dad will not dare to be drunk. So your relationship with your family members will become stronger. So if you do not have abilities, the other person will not dare to throw tantrum at you. But if your ability becomes stronger, the other party will be scared of you. So it's the same thing in the relationship, in the family. So if you make yourself stronger, then you will have a more critical role in the family. You will have a superior, a priority positions at home. But Master, the strong, it is not necessarily the physical strength. It is ability, the strength in your ability. It may be in a way, it's your mental capacity to be stronger than the other party. But first, you need to have a more spiritual, a higher to be wiser. You can take care of things, you can settle it. So if I want to have a conversation with you, I want to achieve my objective. So I must be able to say to the point, if you do not accept my, you must be able to talk to this, to this level. If you have this ability, you talk to your dad, so that after that your dad will not dare to be drunk. Do you have this ability? Do you have this courage to talk to your father? But my suggestions to you is that even if you have this ability, do not try.
第一个叫马上修，第二个是马虎的修，对不对？哎，马虎的修等于不修。
对。
啊，马上修呢，就是快速觉悟，对不对？但是
马上修才行。
但是马上修改成糊涂的修了。
对。
叫马虎的修，对不对？就迷了马虎的修啥呀？就等于没修。是吧？或者不知道害羞，啊，就是这么个事儿。所以当你能量现在这么弱
So when you are so weak, you do not have the ability to talk, to convince your dad. So you need to make sure that you elevate your mental capacity, elevate your spirituality.
拍桌子，但是你不能拍，因为你是儿子，对不对？
对，
你不用拍桌子，你爸都服了。
对，讲道理就服了。
对不对？因为你的能力就让他服了，不用讲道理。
So you need to convince your dad with your ability, with your charisma.
就不要说我杀你了，说，对，看你演的时候眼神稍稍。
When you're very competent, naturally you have charisma, and you'll be able to convince your dad.
煮了吃还是烤了吃，对不对？你就在想你是怎么死法，对不对？冷眼看你的时候，你想是立刻抽我的筋呢，还打我的骨头，对不对？你都是在那么设想，就是你需要有更强的能量。
So you need to have stronger ability, stronger power.
产生威力。
It is only when you have a strong ability, then you will have power.
你当成为被统治者，成为一个生活中的弱者的时候
When you are a weak person,
靠被人可怜中的
you will
生存
need
的时候
to rely on others' pity.
你能得到尊重吗？
Can
你
you
能
be
不让人骂
respected?
你吗？
Can you not be scolded?
不可能呀，
No.
对不对？这就是真理。你觉得不
That
是
is the
真理，你
truth.
也听一听，你仔细想想，有
You
几
go
把
and
出
think
路
about it.
所以小好
What
应
I
该
said.
先去赶紧找一份工作。
So
我
I
给
think
你
you
建
should
议
look for a
就是师
job.
姐说的啊，
My
先找一份
suggestions
工
to
作
you is that look for a job, be
那你说
independent.
找啥都行，好吧？
So you may ask,
所以
what
我
type
们
of job
给
should
你
I
推荐
find?
的最低的，
Anything
我一
is
下就能
fine.
想到的，地产经纪。
I can think of is real
因为这些
estate
不需要太
agents
高的学历，对不对？
or sell cars, car
只要
salesman.
是家乡话
You
说得好
don't
就
need
可以
a
买
lot
车
of
就可以买
talents.
房
You don't need a lot of
学理工的
capabilities.
嘛，就看看他如果动手能力也可以的话，也可以做那些维修修理的呀。
哎呀，维修修理可赚
And
钱了。
对呀，
if you
一点
are
儿不少
good,
挣
you
啊。
can be a technician. Technicians can earn a lot of money
你有这
too.
里，你有了经济的收入之后，你在哪住都可以，每天晚上住旅馆。
If you have
对不对
financial
所以你需要这个
independence,
经济
you
的
can
支
stay
持
anywhere.
但是你这个孩子呢，其实我觉得你就是一个被折磨透了的一个年轻的少年老人。
I think you are
就是因为把你
someone
放到家乡啊，跟老
that
人
has
长
been
大这个过程
tortured
这个
as a
思念这种
youth.
孤独感。
And that's why, because you live by
我
yourself
其实我挺同情
in
你的
your
哈
village,
有点儿
and I actually
你的
pity
心
you
很老了。
because your heart
小
feels
好
really
听到这儿
old.
眼泪都流下来了，师傅太懂他了。
He cried because, Master, you know him too well.
他比较老成哈。
Indeed, Master,
比较稳重
He
哈
is most
哎，就
对
发挥
because
这个
of
特
his
点
ability
为人
ability.
处事
师傅，我指导你了，你可以选择能干那个行业，你一猛的扎下去，啊，40年不改行。
If you identify a work, a career, you work on it for 40 years, you do not change your career, and you'll be an expert. As long as you are
收
hardworking,
到。对，
you will be able to
学大学中
make
学
a
的那些
lot
专业都
of
没有
wealth.
关系的。
It doesn't
这些
matter
都
what
是给你一个知识
specialization,
储备
because it doesn't matter. Whatever that you learn in a university is good.
事业
对，
You just
能找
explore
上那种
and
熟悉的工作也可以，
也可以
找不上的话，尤其是一个大男人哈，一定要学会变通式谋生。
guys, as a guys, you must learn to be
那
flexible.
个朱元璋小时候
When
放
you are
牛，对不对
flexible, you'll be
那这种
able
人想到
to
他将来当皇帝
easily
对不对？
make a
那放牛的
living.
时候他就是放牛娃，虽然他把牛给偷宰了一头，对不对？那是他的那个天分调皮啊，青年人嘛，对不对？但是你是放牛的时候，你就好好放牛， 就是这样。
Even Zhu Yuanzhang, the Ming Dynasty's the first emperor, when he was young, he was just a little boy that
欺负到
bring
最后
the
没办法，他内心就是
cow
要强大起来，然后就开始猛练，
对，
然后把自己练
to
成
gaze the cow.
没错，是被激发。
So just a simple job, but in the end, he became the first emperor
真的是也是
for the
生
Ming
活这个
dynasties,
或者
the
是
founding
以前人
emperor.
的命运所致吧，就是刚才师傅
So it's
讲
important to be pragmatic and
师傅特别
flexible.
心疼这个小好，所以也是，但是呢，就是你现在这个时候，就是说，内心只有一个呼声，就是我要强大起来。
So I think it's important for you to want to be strong.
强大起来。
This inner voice that calling you to be strong.
对，是。还有，不管你未来多么强大哈，
It doesn't matter how strong you are.
对，
先着眼于眼下的谋生啊。
You want to be able to make a living,
啊，你要有
make
这
a
个概念
decent
的时候
living.
你不顾面子的，好吧？找到适合你的啊。
You
这样
find
的
a
一个工作
job
比如说
that's
其实
suitable for you.
修车也可以啊。
Even a
一
car
开始卑躬
technician
屈
is
膝地
good.
学习，学习的就要卑躬屈膝。你不管跟谁学，你都要谦虚谨慎做学生嘛，对不
It
对？
doesn't matter who you
你
learn
学上
from.
2、3年以后，
You learn
你
for
就是
2
一
to
个
3 years.
高级的技术工人的时
You'll
候，
be
你
a
收入都
highly
很高
technical
哎
technicians,
很
and
多
the
职业
salary
去
will
让你了
improve
解
a
一下
lot.
上次讲青年人就业这个事儿，我已经讲了很多职业，不需要太好的英文。
Actually, I
也
shared
不需要
before
太高
that
的
there are a
文
lot
化
of
程度，
careers
就一定能
that
挣
you
钱
don't
的。
need to have
啊，
to
你
be
去
very
好好
proficient
看
in
一下我们
English.
上一期青年
You
人
can
的
have
讲座
you
哈。
can
嗯，
dwell into
所以
it
的
and
话，
make a decent
当
living.
然我上得讲的正骨也可以啊，你好好学正
I
骨也
haven't
可以，
say that you
但是
can
不要
do
去到要
chiropractor.
按摩学按脚，那个是有点很难长出息。
对
因为你这个行业它的技术含量决定了你在那死定了啊。
对是。
就是
The
挣钱
technical
也不
knowledge
重
will
要，
determine
挣钱
how
也
much
会
you
有
can
所
make.
发展性的，知道吗？它要有技术性的。那
So
有
you
人
need
体
to
现
have
的比如
technical
中医啊
expertise.
中医啊，
对
是不是抓药都可以
Even
啊？
physicians, TCM physicians.
所以应该知道了哈。
很好。
我们希望
感恩师傅
跟你再说更多，但是我想你已经听懂了。
But I think you
你这
understood
种
what I
老
want to
成
share
感
with
你
you.
早就应该说有开窍的感觉哈。
是
哎，我也希望这个小好的父亲哈，这个马修呢，
I
希望
hope
确
that
实要
Marshall,
注意自己的
you
这
observe
个
your
身
own
语的一切行为哈，
your own
稍
actions
不检
and
点
behavior.
就人就往下跌了。你还让
If
孩
you are
子
not
感到
careful,
恐惧和痛苦哈，希
you
望要
will-
以身作则哈，要管好自己的
you
嘴，
have to
管
manage
好自己
yourself
的
well.
手，
Otherwise, look
还要
at the
管
impact
好
that you
随
have
时
on your
地
child.
清理自己的心哈，
And
成
you
为
want
真
to
正的一个
cleanse
善良的人才可以。
your heart
你
all
说
the
让你孩子
time
说你
to
这个
be
人
a
不大
truly
我呀，
compassionate
那你
and
要注
kind
意点，好
person.
吧？
If your child already makes such comment about you, you need to be careful.
来，送给这个小好朋友哈，一个天珠吧。
哎呀，这可护佑，天天带着呀，小孩儿啊。
给他增强能量。
This is for you to enhance your
哎
ability，
对，有所
and
成就
bring you good
将
luck
来成
and
就
good
一番事业
fortunes.
我们大家都会爱你，好吧？
We all love
收
you.
到，感恩师傅。好，感恩师傅。
哎，
那下面也是一
Thank
位
you,
年轻的
Master.
小伙子啊，来自于洛杉矶的。
The next sharing is from LA.
他
杨
他
志祥
给师傅写信亲爱的金木提宗
Dear
师傅你好
Master,
我是杨志祥
I'm Yang 志
是洛
祥
杉矶禅堂
I am
乐坛师姐的
LA
小儿子。
乐坛
自从
Sister
母亲
乐坛
2009
younger
年走
son.
入菩提禅修
Ever since my
我的
mom
求
joined
学
Bodhi in
生涯中的大
2009,
关小关
I
都
have
跟师傅的
been
师傅
able
的
to
互动
pass all
息息
hurdles
相
in
关
my study
在我
years.
大学
I
4
think
年
got
里
to do with
每
Master's
次大考
protections.
母亲一定
During
都
my
为
4
我
years
点
of my
灯母亲总
universities,
是告
every
诉我
time before the
读书
exams,
考试
my mom would
是要
offer
靠
lights
自
on
己
my
努力
behalf.
点
My
灯
mom always
是
shared
祈
with
求
me
师
that
傅
it
和
is
佛菩
important
萨
for me
护
to
佑我
work hard
身
for the
心光明
exams,
头
and
脑清
offering
晰
lights is
消
to
除不
ask
必
for
要的障
Masters,
碍
Bo-
所以我的
gr-
大学4年
Buddhas
安安
and
稳稳
Bodhisattvas'
顺利毕业
blessings
了
and protections
毕业以后
so
呢
that I
我在
can
学
have
校的实
clarity
验
of
室找到
mind
工
and do
作
well for my
同
exams.
时申请
After I
准备申请
graduated,
考
I
医学
found
院
a
的考
job
试
in the
妈妈
university
一如
labs.
既往
At
为
the
我
same
点灯
time,
助
I'm
我这个
prepared
志
for
愿
the medical
那这
school's
个考医学
admissions
院的考试
exams.
呢总分是
My
45
mom is
分
always
考
the
之前
same,
呢
so
我
before
尝
my
试了
exam,
9
she
次的
tried
自
to
我
offer
测试
lights on
都
my
没有达
behalf.
到40分
The
可是
MCAT,
出乎
the
意
full
料
marks
正
is
式考试我
45.
的成绩
Before
竟然
that, I
考到了
tried
40
9
分
tests
当
and
年
I
只有
didn't pass
2%
more
的
than 40.
考生
But
能够
the
达到
actual
40分
exams,
以上的成
I
绩
actually
这
managed to get
无疑
40
对我
points.
申请医学院
And
有
that
一个
is
很大的
very
助力
good. results for me to apply for the medical school. And after several rounds of the med school interviews, I waiting for my, but just I didn't hear any results. Just when I was about to give up, I got offer from 2 universities in California. One is UCSF and UCLA. And I think that's because my mom has been offering lights, and that's why I got such great fortune. So I selected UCLA medical schools, and after 4 years, upon graduations, through specialization matching, I go to the hospitals to do my residency. That is another great challenge because I want to do specialization of the eyes. But it's more competitive to stay in LA, so mom offered lights for me. And I was very lucky that I continued to stay in LA and not too far away from my mom. And this year, July, it will be my final year of my residencies. And I'm thinking of applying for fellowships and do more specializations. So the question is, I'm confused. Should I do that? Because these selections will affect my content. And because of this, I asked for masters to provide me with the best advice. And I have also another question is that my left eyebrow, because of a fall, I had some marks. So I want to ask the master, is that something that I should be careful about?
他这个写的真好哈，他自己的来信。
他从大学4年到住院医生4年，真的他自己讲，大关小关，每一个关卡都是师傅佛菩萨的护佑。
对，这个我们的灯就一路指引他。
对，
So the mom really know this because the mom has been offering lights on his behalf, and that's why he was able to clear all his major and sub examinations throughout. And he works very hard as well.
很骄傲哈，很祝福你哈，恭喜小杨哈，成为眼科医生，我们以后叫你杨医生了。
So congratulations, you becomes a doctor. He has a question. He said, should he spend 1 more year to specialize in glaucoma, or should he just come out and becomes a normal eye doctor? Personally, my suggestion is that you should be specialized. So what do you do? Of course, you should continue that pursuit because medicine, to help others, it is good for you to be more specialized. When you're so good at it, you will be an expert, a specialist. And he has another question, is that he has this mark and ask Master if there is anything that you can advise. I can't really say it very clearly, but this got to...
这样说哈，用很善良慈悲的心哈，将来成为医生。
When you become a doctor, when your salary is higher, you need to contribute.
做些功德。
And so that you will become a truly kind and compassionate person and be a kind and compassionate doctor. And it will start to clear some weakness of your features and it will be better for you. Thank you, Masters, for your advice. Yes, from your facial features, indeed, you have to do some offerings.
但是也有一些叫做弱点，这些弱点呢，就是与慈悲善良功德有关系。
It got to do with merits, virtues, And this is something that he can is a bit weak in aspect, so it's important for him to work on that. So my suggestions is that in the future, you should try to listen to some of my teachings or come to volunteers at the closer centers so that it can help him. I can't say very clearly, but I'm just pointing to you a directions, and the directions for you is to accumulate more merits.
护身的，
要非常需要哈。天珠吧，你看
I'm going to go give
作为
him
眼科的
this
大夫哈，哎，我们这个是天眼珠哈，实际上的表现的其实就是眼。
these are the
这个
eyes.
眼呢，也有人称为叫佛眼，也有人称为叫邪恶之眼。就当初就
Some
说
say
避那个
evil
邪
eyes,
气
some say
这个护
Buddha's
法神在这
eyes.
瞪着眼珠子，把这个邪气给吓跑，是这个意思哈。对，那希望这个杨医生呢，
So I
就
hope
是
that
事业有成，学
you
业
will
有
have
成
good
啊
career
能够更多的去救
and
人，
you will
更多地利
save
益众
more
生
people
恭喜你。
and do more good deeds.
感恩师傅。
好，
好，接下来的小朋友很有意思哦，他呢是来自于马来西亚的文斌，他的问题主要是我的好朋友创业都发财了，
Another
我
is
还
from
应该
Wenping,
安心地
Malaysia.
打工吗？
She
要
said,
细
"My
请
good
师傅来
friends already
好
started
他的
a
问题很有意思。
a
尊敬
her
的师傅您
business.
好，我的名字
Should
叫
I
文斌，来自马来西亚，
I'm Wenping from
今年
Malaysia.
22岁。
I'm
我已经
22.
完成了大
I
学
have
的平面
completed
设计
my
专业，顺
university
利找到一
degree
份相
and
关
I
的
found
工作。
suitable
我做
jobs
工也做了一段时
and
间，
I worked for a
存了一
while
点
and I
钱
saved some
父
money.
母希望我将
My
这笔
parents
钱
hope
用
that
来
I
买
can use
房，
this money to
但
buy
是
a
我对未
property.
来感到
But
很
I'm
迷
full
茫，
of
不知道应该
uncertainties
往哪个
of
方
the
向跑。
future. I do
我
not
想
know which
做的东西
direction
也
to
比
go.
较多，
I
但是
think of a
能力
lot,
不
but
足。
I think I lack
我
the
对自己
abilities.
所学的专业谈不
I
上
don't
不
quite
喜
like my
欢，但也谈
specializations,
不上喜
but
欢。
it is
因为
not
当
something
初
that I
也
like a
没有
lot,
想
but
过
it's
会
not
考
something
大
that I
大
don't like
学，
a lot
所以选课的
because
时候比较急，
I never
没
thought that
有
I would
那
be
么
able
仔细
to
地
do
去了解，
to get a
随便
degrees.
选了一
So
科。
when I select my
不过
course,
真的
I
很感
choose
恩
it
父母、
quite
师傅和
abruptly.
佛祖的
So I
保佑，
didn't
让我
think
读
too
完了大学。
deeply. So
过
I
后就
just
想要赚
choose
了
one.
钱，我就再去
But
进修自己
I'm
喜
very
欢的
thankful to
专
my
业，
parents,
那是主攻
masters,
成
Buddhas,
绩。
and Bodhisattvas
现在我
protecting
看到
me
身边
to
的好朋
complete
友
my
自己创
universities.
业，
But
已
now
经
when I
挣了
see
很
my
多
friends
钱，也开
who
始买
started the
车
career
买房，
already make a
我也
lot of
开始
money
感到
and
焦
start to
虑。
buy
然
cars
后
and
我
a
想了
house,
想，
and
结
I
果
start
又
to
想要
worry
创
again
业
and
了。
I start to
我
think,
想给
should
家
I
人
start
过
my
好的
business?
生活，
I want my
但我不
family
懂
to have
是
a
否
better
应
career.
该往那个方向
I
去。
want my family to have a
尊敬的
better
师
life.
傅，
So what should I
请您
do?
帮我开示，感恩师傅。
文斌小朋友
是
这个还挺好玩哈。
好玩的，
哎，我分析分析这个
Well,
文斌
let me
小朋友
think.
哈。你看他读
So
的专业
if you
是他非常
he
心
the
仪或者是
specializations,
自己的
is that
一种
something
目
that he
标吗？
likes a
不
lot?
是，
不是。
No,
他
it's
好像
not.
随便抓了一个。
So is it just something that he just pick and
而
studies
且毕
to
了
get
业
a
之后他
degree?
喜欢这个行业吗？而且还没兴趣，不喜欢。
And actually,
对，那还发生什么问题
she
呢？
didn't quite
然
like
后同
her
学都赚钱
specialization.
了是吧？
And when she found that her friends are making a lot of money,
因为他有点受刺激，
so
这我
she's
是不是
affected.
我也得去创业赚
and she
钱
start to have
Yeah.
doubts and question if
这
she
个
should
好
also
玩，还难
start
的事儿。
to become an entrepreneur.
对，后来我们也是跟他有更多的了解一下他的
Yes,
情
in
况
fact, after that, we talked to
开朗
her
我们聊得很
and she shared a lot
说
with
他
us.
在大学读书的时候
She
呢
said that
他的功课都叫低空飞行，
in her universities,
自己用的
her
这个词
result
形容
was not very
对，就
good,
是低空
just
飞
barely
过
pass.
就比方说吧，如果考试
For
及格分
example,
60来分的，就算
If
及
the
格了
pass
他
grade
一定
passing
也不会
grade
超过
is in the
70
60s,
分
her result is just very close, probably around
有
70s.
惊无险。
哎，那就说明也不是特别优秀和出
So
色
it just says that it just means that she's not very.
好，那她当了平面设计师了以后呢？她的
But
工
after
资
she
呢
becomes a
也
graphic
高
designer,
因为她入行也不久，在一家
she
那个新加坡的建筑
work
公司
in
但是这家
Singapore
建筑公司在马
in
来
a
西亚有一个子
constructions
公司那她就在这个子公司
in a Singapore company
算不错了哈。所以
based
她
in
现在
Malaysia.
自己的那她的同学圈子呢，都是做平面设计。
So her friends are all graphic designers, and some are doing
没
very
想
well.
到看到同学都创业
So
很
for
成
those
功
who started
赚
their
钱
own
了
company,
快了心
they
动
make lots more money
觉得我也想
and they can buy a car and a house. So she started to wonder whether she should also start her own company
指导一下。
好
and
的。
want to ask Master for advice.
大家熟悉我的人都知道，我是给大家说所谓指导，就是我的建议的时候，就是很直率的啊。
All of you know that I'm very direct in my advice.
比如说，我觉得你是一个立刻就能发财的
If I
人。
feel that you can make a lot of money, I will tell you too.
如果看到你可能
If I look
就
at you
是有的属于叫做创业型的，
and I feel that
我会
you
告诉你，
are
哎，
an
你要
entrepreneur,
创业
I
啊
will
啊
tell you too.
我觉得你如果是
If I look
叫
at
做
you
打工
and
型
I
的
feel
我也
that
告
you
诉
are
你
those who would be a better
但
off
是呢，
to be
未
a
来有
salaried
可能会
worker,
发生变化
I will also
因
share
为
that
年
with
轻
you.
人是
But in the
我
future,
们
things
可能
may
有点看不
change
透吧哈。
because
但是
as
我看
youth,
到
I
的
can't really
我认为
see
是这
very
样的
clear your
我就
futures.
会直白
But whatever that I see, I will share with you
首先，文
directly.
斌对于这个专业的
First,
选
for
择呢
Wenbin,
有点玩笑。
It's quite a joke
你在
that she
大学
picked
选专业
graphic
的选专
designer.
业的时候哈，
Because when you
我知
pick
道那个时候
a
有点莽莽撞撞
university
或是发懵
specialization,
发懵的时候说，大概看了这
you
个
must
顺
have
眼
some
可
idea
能
what you
是我的
like.
类别，你就会觉得可能是我选择类别的时候，你就选择了。这本身就是你的类别，本身就是你要学的。
So that is
那
what
现在
you
你已经
should
受
do.
益了，
And now you
对
have
不对？
already
你已经在干
completed
这个工作。
your degrees and you already started your job.
但是你在学这个专业的时候，你
But
的
in
心态
learning
是这样
this
的觉得
specialization,
我不是特别喜欢，
You
学
have
的时
this
候也不是特别喜欢。
mental mindset.
等毕了业
This
之
is
后
not
到
really
现
what
在
you
都不
want.
是特别认可你的专业。
And even you
那你要
graduated,
反过来
and
想
even
问，那
if
你
you're
的专
doing
业你
this,
真想学的是什么呢？
then you are not very pleased with your career. So my questions to you is,
其实它
what
是
do you
类
really
似
like
的
to do? What do you
它都是与建筑相关的
genuinely
东
like
西
to
对不
do?
对？其实是类似的。
他其实现在找到了是一家新加坡建筑公司来说，对他来说是很
Actually, now she
很
works in a
对
Singapore
他学的
construction
专业和
company.
他的兴趣
That
爱
is
好
something that is
但是我
close to
们
what
就
she
怕这
wants.
样子，比如说现在建筑还是受欢迎的哈。
So now, because construction is
比如
quite
说
a
我学的
favorable
是木
industries.
匠，
Say, for example, you
是
want to
建筑
be
中的
a
电工。
carpenter and
你开始羡慕他。哎呀
the
我
other
学的是
person
木
is
匠
a
可是
electric
你看你美多好啊，我
electrical
还听说有几个地方发了
mechanics.
大财，承包了电工工程，哇，一年挣了几十万。
When you heard that the other person is making a lot of money, you start to regret. Why do I choose to be a
这急死
carpenter?
我了，哎，总感觉自己选择永远都是错的。
You always have
就
this
是有这
opinion
样的
that your
人是
choice
这
is
样
wrong.
总觉得别
Some
人
people are like that.
吃
They
了用的
always
好
feel that the
喜
other
欢的
party is
干
better
活
than
都是
you.
最好的，可是我现在有的都是不好的。会有人是这样的。
Some
逆向
people
思
have
维的
such a
人
mindset.
文斌小朋友是属于这样逆
And
向思维
Wenbing
的人
belongs to
这样
this
逆
type
向
of
思维的
people.
人容易忧郁。
For people who have such a mindset, it is very easy for you to fall into depression.
他是逆反思维，凡是别
Because
人拿的都是好的。
You have these impressions that whatever that
比如说
people
你
have
开这个车，你
are
在
better
这
than
个想哎呀
yours.
等看到别人开的时候，怎么那么帅呢？那车怎么那么好看呢？
我没有，我就相反，我就觉得，哎，我有这个挺好哎。
For me, I'm
是人
different.
呢哈
When I have something, I will feel very
多数
thankful.
人会有这感觉。
But you are different, but most people will be
是吧
like that.
你们有没有感觉别人那个对象多帅啊？
When you
这种
have,
感
do you
觉
have that
是没有
opinion
哈
before?
就
The other
谈一谈也没
person's
感
partner
受
is so much more attractive than mine.
咱说衣服吧，
Let's talk
说
about
哎
clothes.
这几个
Look
姑娘
at
穿得
that.
真
The few
漂亮
girls, the
穿
clothes
得
that they
一
wear
样
are so
穿得一样
beautiful
漂
on
亮
them.
但是欣赏别人穿的感觉。
But when you wear it, you may not feel the same for
在自己
yourself.
身上的时候，因为不像别人看你的时候是整体欣赏了你的整个
Because you do
身
not
体
look
的
at
一面
yourself overall, you don't have the
自己身
overall
上
view,
自己不知道。
you do not know how it
身
feels.
在庐山，不知庐山真面目，是不是啊？
It is like you are in the
那
Lu
又在自
mountain
己
and
身
you
上
do not
你
cannot
欣
see
赏
the
自己
truth
是
of
局
the
部
Lu
谁
mountains.
不知道那个美？
So you
那
cannot
个叫
appreciate the overall
同样的东
beauty.
西落在别人身上就是好的。
So that's why I feel that
所以
if the
文
same
斌这
thing,
个
if
感
it's
觉
for
太
other
重
person,
了。
it is
你
good for
学的
them.
专业哈，有一天你
So
会觉得
Wenbing,
原来是
your
我这个也挺好的
specializations, maybe this is what you really need.
是在于什么呢？你要学精它呀。
What is important is that you need to be good at it.
找了工作，对不对？
You need to be
新加坡公司
specialized
雇
in
佣
it.
你，也有感恩心哈。
Well, now
你
you
要
have this
喜欢你的
Singapore
专业
company,
你要
construction
喜欢
company that
设
hire
计出
you.
让老板
You
一
need
看
to be
你的稿子就
thankful.
喜欢，我就要文斌设计的这个。如果达到这个水平的时候，你想不发财都很难。
So when you're so good in your designing and people identify you as the designated designer, it is impossible for you to not to grow your fortune. Actually, when being you are only 22 years old, you're very young. You just graduated. The time frame that you see is too short. You must take a longer view and a broader view. 22 years, you only start your career. You really do not know what happened 10 years later. In fact, the industries has a lot of movements and competitions. You never know what happens in 10 years later. So what is important is that you want to be very practical and you want to be good in what you are doing. If you're not good in what you're doing, other people will make a lot more money than you. So what is important is to prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for the opportunities so that when opportunities knock the door on you, you'll be able to grab it. So it's important to build your own capabilities, build your own abilities. Actually, when you started your studies in graphic designing, this is not something that you like. Even when you graduated, even when you got a job, you still have this mindset. And even now, when you write to me, it reflected in your writing as well. Actually, what is important is that you learn to be an expert, to master in it. Your objective now is to do good in it. You don't think about making money to be an entrepreneur. In the next 8 years and 10 years, you work hard in the same company. That is the learning point. This is a great opportunity for you to learn. And what's more, people actually pay you money to learn because your boss is teaching you. In fact, this is a very practical way of learning. So you must understand my teaching. You must not be afraid of to be scolded by your boss or by your supervisors. You want to seek these opportunities. You want to use these opportunities to work hard. Remember, you are only beginning your career. You are not an expert. You are not any specialist. Even when you graduate from top schools or branded schools, you want to be very humble. When you are not humble, when you're too arrogant, it will become a mental illness. Don't even think about building a house or buying a house for your mom. You just want to make sure that you maintain your career, maintain these jobs, and learn as much. If you want to start a business, you can think about it after 10 years later. You are so young. My conclusion to you is that you have a job. You should try to treasure this job and learn as much as you can. Well, after you learn the Buddha Dharma with me, things may change for you. But I look at you, you cannot start a business. You do not. Otherwise, it's suicidal. So don't even have the thought. Work hard, learn well, be specialized. And maybe after 10 years, if you want to have a career, you can do it later. I want to tell you that you are different from your friends because you have master. Yes, your friends may make some money now, but it's fine. What you want is that you don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Your friends may be making fortune now, but it's okay. Be practical. Be a master. Be a mastery. And years later, when you gain your capability, you will explode. And when you have masters in front of you, do not be fearful. You will have lots of great fortunes awaiting you. I want to tell the truth. I do not want to keep praising you. Because if I keep praising you, you feel really good. It will cause more harm to you. Many top students, they listen to all the praise. They are always being top in class, top in school. But when they start working, when they start to have setback in life, they are not able to withstand that.
你态度好了，我
If I
估计
keep
不到明
praising
天
you,
你
it
就
is
辞职
not helping you.
你关键下个月你吃啥？虽然马来西亚剩饭也挺多的哈，但是不一定轮到你抢到手，知道吗？所以我不能捧杀你，我给你指条明路。你
So
自然
I
听
want
我
to
的课，
point,
知道吗？
I want to
所以
point out
我不
directions to
能这
you.
么盲目的
So
你为了害
you
你，
want to be
为了让
very
你高
clear.
兴哈。我为了让你将来有所成就，我
I
才
want
这
to
么
make
直言
sure
不讳地
that
告诉你。
you will be able to succeed in future, and that's why I tell you very
我
honestly.
这个奖励。
好，这是大加持。你看文斌，你的朋友有师傅的礼品吗？都没有吧？
See, you have master's gift, Wenping. Your friends don't even have present for master.
好，送你个天珠哈。
So I have this for
伴随
you,
你永远如意吉祥，
wishing you
学业
auspiciousness,
精进，有
wishing
成就。
you to be successful in life.
师傅，好，师傅，接下来呢，还是一对年轻人的这个婚恋问题啊。不过
Next
提
is
问的
about
呢
a
却不是
family
年轻人，是年轻人他妈，是老马
It's about
啊。他这个来
our
信是这样
internet
写的
friends
师傅
老马。
您好，弟子呢，今年60岁
Hello,
了啊
masters.
今年
I'm 60
念书的
this year.
护士
I'm a
那我
retired
自己
nurse.
健康也不好，生
My
活
health is not too good.
一直做透析呢，也有26年了。那通过走八
And
卦8年多
through
还有
practice
大
of
礼拜
energy
念佛的
bagua
禅修
to
方法
prostration,
我的
through
身体
chanting
和
and
以前
various
已经太
meditation
弱两
methods,
人了
my
现
health
在
has
有明显
improved
的好转
significantly.
感恩师父。
Thank you, Master,
那
for
么呢，
that.
我跟儿子
And
相
I
依
have
为
a
命
son, and two of
儿
us
子
live
大学毕业
together.
后在
And
一
after
家
my son
建筑
graduates
咨询
from
公司
universities, he worked
工作
in
了3
a
年。后来呢，
construction
这
consulting
个公
business,
司的资
and he
金
worked
链
there
出现
for
问
3
题，然
years.
后倒闭了。
Because of
儿
some
子就自己
financial
开始
crisis,
创业
the
仍然
company
从
shut
事的
down,
是建筑
and
咨
my
询行
son
业的
started
工
his
作
own
也已经
business.
3年
And
多
he
了
also
每年都
in
有
this
很
in the
好的
same
收益。
industries. And
儿
he
子
has
自
been
己在
doing
公
this
司
for
谈了
3
个
years
对象，
plus, and every year
他
he
和
has
这个
good
女生
result.
呢
He
是
has
原
good
来上一个公司的
revenues.
同事，女生的
And
农村，女
my
生的
my
老家是
son
农
has
村，
a
父母呢住在
girlfriend,
县
and
城，
this girlfriend
他母亲呢
is
没有
from
工
his
作，
old
父亲常
company.
年在
They were
外地，是
ex-colleagues.
建筑工地上的
The
一个
girl's
项目负责
family
人。
is in the village.
一个地方施工结束就
The
到另一个
parents
城
live
市去
in the
工作，
cities. The
基
mom
本
has
上常
doesn't
年
work
都不
and
在
just stay
家。
at home.
他还
The
有一个
mom
弟
work
弟在下
outside
职业
and
学校。
work in a
家
construction
庭背
is
景
a
好，那
construction
这个
site
女生呢，一般
supervisor.
几年都不回家看父母。她本人讲呢，父亲常年不在家，母亲呢对她姐弟2个人也漠不关心，所以跟父母的关系也不融
But
洽。
the girl
熟
don't
即
go
使
home to
是
see the
农历
parents.
过年的节
As
日
she
她
said
也不回
herself, the
家。
dad is not at home all the
那我
time
呢，作
and
为
is
这个
never
准备
care,
会啊，
and
就
the
和
mom
那
never
个
care
见
for
过
her
一
and
面，
the
在一
brother.
起待了
And
3
the
年。
relationship with the parents are not good, and they
再
feel
举个
very
例子吧，
distant.
比如吃完
And
饭呢，
even
女
Chinese
生
New
呢
Year,
拿
she
出
didn't go home
柠
as
檬
well.
片儿给自己泡水喝，
They
喝了
met
2杯以后呢，
and they
过一
stayed
会儿就拿
together.
出山楂片儿
I
泡
met
水
this
喝。
girl
我
before,
俩就
and
坐在一
after
块
we
儿聊
stayed
天
for
儿，
3
她
days.
都没有礼节
After
性的
meal,
问一
she
句
just
我要
gave
不要
me
喝，
a lemon,
或
a
者
slice
也
of
没有说
lemon
倒2
for
杯
me
水
to
给我
drink.
一杯喝。
But
那
she's
儿
not
子呢不
very,
在现
she's
场的时
not
候，我就跟儿子
very
唠叨这个事
polite.
儿。儿子说：“妈，你也别挑剔，这
And
不
my
就是小
son
事一
said,
桩吗？”
well, this is just a small
还
matter.
有一
Don't
次
pick
呢，
on
儿子
small
回家来
matters.
看我，给我带回来一些
Once
茶
my
叶，
son
其中有一
came
种
back
口味
from
的茶叶
work
叫小
and
青
brought
柑。
me some
可是后来
tea.
呢，这个
And
女
one
生
of
呢
them
就当着
is
我的
小
面
青柑
儿问儿子
And
说：“
the
你
girl
这次回
said
家
in
把
front
我
of my
爱吃的
son,
那个小青柑带回来了吗？” 儿
do
子
you
说：“
bring
忘
what
了，
I
这下
like
次回家
back?
再给你带回来。”
My
那
son
我
said,
也很
no,
惊
next
讶，
time
这个女生
I
如此
I
的
will
直率
get for
哈，
you.
因为儿子
I'm
把
very
这
shocked
个
that
女
she's
朋友
so
把这个
direct
东西送老妈了，那女朋友往回要。
because the
那我
presents
认为呢，
is
父母
for
的家
me.
庭教育、为人处事以
I
及
think
一
that the
切行
parents
为
have a lot
直
of
接影响
impact
到
on the
孩子的
child.
价值观
It will
文化的
affect
行
the
为。
child's
那这个女
values.
生呢，家乡比较
And
落
for
后，
this girl,
而且
because
没有
of the
良好的
family
家庭，
background,
这样的家庭出来的子女，
such
婚
I
姻
don't
生
think
活
that
不
you'll
容
be
易幸
able
福。
to have a
总之
happy
呢，我是
marriage.
觉得不合适。
Anyway, I feel that they are
看
not
这个女生
suitable
连最基
because
本
she
的
don't
礼
even
节
know
都
the
不懂。
basic
但是
courtesy.
儿子呢，却说
But
这
for
个
my
女生在
son,
公司
she
啊，业
said
务比
that
较
this
熟练，
girl, She knows the business very well, and if they separate, the business will be affected. And my son thinks that what's most important is to make money. That's why my son is a little bit couldn't make up his mind. Because although they are in a relationship and he's not in touch with me for 4 months, this really affect me and I couldn't sleep at night. So I hope that masters can give me some guidance.
挺乱乎的哈，这
对，
么
就一个
多事儿哈。
准婆婆，就是
准婆婆
看不上
I feel a little bit
未来的儿
confused.
媳妇
Yes, this
这儿媳妇
mother-in-law
呢
can't
就是
see
出
this
生在
girl
这个农
as a
村
future
完
daughter-in-law.
了之后呢，家庭背景没那么光鲜
And
亮
that's
丽。
because they
觉得
have
好
very
像
different
亲
family
亲
backgrounds.
情不那么融洽。
就可
对
能不太
Because this girl,
对，不会
the
为人
family
处
is
事
not, she's not very
对，
close
自己
with her
不会有礼
parents.
貌
And not only
很少
that,
家教
she doesn't, she
哎
lacked the
而
family,
而且
good
呢
family
也不每年过
upbringings.
年都不回家。
And she
是的
didn't even go
哎
home to visit her own
对
parents during
对
Chinese New
哎
Year.
可是儿子
儿子呢
不这么看，
儿子喜欢，
儿子
But
喜
the
欢
son actually liked
啊
this girl.
那完了，儿子的背景呢？
And the
儿
son's
子
做建筑
background,
咨询公司，
对，自
he
己
is
创
his
业
own boss.
真
He has a
天大的
construction
胆子啊
consulting
跟人家
business.
干了3年，自己就开始独立
She
开
is
厂子
very,
了
very
啊，开了公
daring
司
because
啊
after working for
那这
others
个
for
女
3 years,
孩呢
she
是他的
started her
员
own
工，
business.
是他的左膀右臂
And
应该
this
说对
girl
很
is
好的
actually
都
her,
是在原公司
they
叛逃
used to
出来
work in the same
来
company
来给
and
他
now
开公司
they
的。
work together in this his
那
his
但是呢
newly
儿
set
子
up
呢很喜欢
companies.
这姑娘，
The
这
son
婆婆一
liked
接
this
触的
girl,
话，这家伙四六不懂，根本不懂礼貌，
but the
不懂
problem
得
is that
孝
this
敬
girl
我是准婆
doesn't
婆，
对
doesn't
第一关就过不了。
对。
it's not very courteous towards the future mother-in-law, and that's why the future mother-in-law don't really like her,
看看怎么处理这层这个关
and
系。
that's why
什
she
么事儿
needs
啊
some
这个东西
guidance.
是不是啊？这姑娘我也不认识啊，我就是
Why
你
should I
我认
care?
识
Because I
可是
don't even know who this girl is. I only
这
know
个
you.
准婆婆跟儿子还是咱们的弟子嘛。
哦，
所以来
Yes,
请
this
师傅来
this
决定
mom-in-law and the son are our
哦
disciple,
那如
and
果
that's
是弟子的
why they
话我就
ask.
开始说话了哈。
So if you are my
那我就找出
disciple,
我的
then I will
要求
tell you my honest opinion.
你这个弟子啊不合格啊，
You are not a suitable
我还以为做
disciple.
得挺好
You
呢
do not
你这
meet
个
the
太
mark
不
of a
合格。
我咋
disciple.
不合格嘞？
Why,
如
Master?
果这个媳妇儿是你亲闺女的话，你能
Because
那么
if this
挑
is your
剔
own daughter,
她
will
泡
you
什
be
么
so
山楂
picky?
片儿的事儿吗？
那
Will you
不会啊
care
我还得
about
给他泡
the
山楂片儿
will
吃
you
嘞
care
你
about the
泡了
lemon
山楂片儿
slice
以后
and
你还
stuff like
吵
this?
妈为什
Are
么
you
放
so
这么多
picky?
还8成是这
你又
个
都不懂科学吗？
啊，亲生女儿都这么说话。
肯定是这么说的。
那我也不会生气，那是我亲闺女啊。
对呀，
But I'm sure you will
媳妇
treat
的
your
话
daughter
咱们现在
differently.
我
But
发现我们
because
这
she
老
will
弟
be
子
your
啊就
future
找人毛病
daughter-in-law,
就找茬
and
儿
that's
的
why you're so
因为这
picky.
疼儿子嘛，
而且还就火眼金睛，特别能看事儿。
他是外人，我儿子是我一家人。
但是，我告诉你一个，我一下就捅破这个天窗哈。
Let me tell you the
你
truth.
儿子不能自己支撑这个公司，
Your son cannot support cannot support the company by himself. He needs this girl to support his
那我给他
company.
泡山楂片儿水呀、
Oh,
这
I
是
must treat
这
the
姑
girl
娘是
well.
你们家的女财神爷，
She
她
brings
要成为你
fortune
儿子的大
to
脑和
your
脊梁
house.
你的儿
So
子才能
if-
有所作为，知道吗？
If she becomes your daughter-in-law, then your son will do
给
well.
我泡水，那
那如果是你呢，觉真？
What will you
天天
do,
给她
Jason?
泡山楂片儿。
对呀，
你说
我为了
这啥片儿？
我
I
我
will do my best to please my daughter-in-law.
的事业好
Because I would think of I would think of my son's future career. I will treat her really well.
是
这个什么什么
这位师姐说，我和我儿子，
戒指了，还买那个
尤其是她说她和她儿子相依为命，
对
既然家里这2口人，对不对？
Especially when she shared that she lives very with the son.
这媳妇儿
And that's why you
又漂
need
亮
this
又聪明
this
又特别
daughter-in-law
能干
because she's so
她是乐意
capable
做事业的女性
and
啊
she's willing to
你
work
儿子和
hard.
你的家庭太需要她了。
Your son needs her in the family.
你还挑人家，你敢
You're
给
so
人跪下磕
picky?
头呗
You should be thankful that you have this future daughter-in-law.
好好念佛，
对
我把念佛的功德给儿子儿媳妇儿，
对
然后
I
好好
will
做
try
好
to
大
transfer the merits of chanting to my son and my future
功
daughter-in-law.
德的事儿
对
咱们说具体她可操作的事儿。
可操作
Let's just talk about
像
something
这
that
姑
she
娘
can
不是
do.
爱吃什么小青柑啊？
You know, she liked the tea, 小青柑 tea. I will buy for her. Whatever that she likes, I will buy for her.
你是不是爱吃那个泡那个什么片儿？一
柠
看
檬片儿
柠檬，
You like lemon
买一堆
slice?
柠檬
I buy a lot of lemons for you.
啊，对，你泡柠檬枣
哎，呦，太好了！
It's good to have such
种
daughter-in-law.
棵山楂树，再种棵柠檬树，
对，
对，
再修个地窖，专门存这些啊。
对。
对，要去这样做才对的。你要知道我说的这个天机，你就会这么做。还用
If you understand what I shared with you, you will do all
娶
this.
个有福的、能干的儿媳
You
妇，
have
你
such
挑她
capable
你这太能干
daughter-in-law.
了 他就不注重这些小节。
should not take care of all these
注重小
details.
节的小女孩之后啊，能气死你
家庭妇女。
她天天找你这个老太太那个茬儿，
是，
对
是不是
人家还挑？
你看你锅台上的卫生就有问题，哪个老太太，中国老太太没一个锅台上弄得干净的，知道吗？但是你知道，你锅台弄得太干净之后，你的下次就不会兴旺啊。但是你所以人家孩子挑
You
你毛
must
病
know
就知道
that your
能挑你
stove
毛病
is too clean, it is hard to bring great fortune to the family.
啊，我的老太太徒弟，你就别
So, my disciples, can you stop being so picky of your future daughter-in-law?
千万别把财神给赶走。
对呀。
Do not chase the god of fortune away.
你好好走八卦，做八卦。
And I think you should practice energy bakwa
把孙子
diligently.
带得好好。
And you just to get ready
对
to
对。
to have a
这
grandchild.
和你儿子的阴阳结合之后，将来的孙子哈，文武兼备哈，这是
收到。
You will have very good grandchild.
对你的家族多好。
This is so great fortune to your family.
媳妇儿是爸，
这媳妇是个金把儿哈，
你看
厉害着呢。
So this
对，那就是
daughter-in-law is
通向
very
金
capable.
矿的密码就是。
She has the key to your golden safe.
所以这个事儿是得请教师傅吧？
就得请教师傅。
哎
对。
That's why you pick the right advice from
多
master.
有福气呀！
我说老徒弟你咋修的？那媳妇这么能干，你儿子差一点你不知道呀？他们两个
Don't you know that your son is not so capable?
一个35分
Do you know that your son is only 35 marks and the daughter-in-law is 100 marks? If you don't,
一定
if
要有个明智的心才叫智慧啊。
you need to have a clear mind.
火眼金睛，立
对不对
刻有了。
You must be able to see that she's such a capable daughter-in-law.
你不知道自己吃几碗干饭和儿子吃几碗干饭，你盲目的责备媳妇儿，这不是瞎了眼呐？是不是白修了？
If you keep scolding your daughter-in-law, you are not blind.
定笑的都合不拢嘴。
You should be so happy that your son has picked such a good future
是
daughter-in-law.
你修来的福，知道吧？是你修来的。
It is because of your cultivation that's why you have this future daughter-in-law.
这不你怎么不说她有多聪明能干呢？
Why don't you comment that she's so capable, she's so
她
smart?
泡个烂片儿，你还真，她的老太太这你吃酸了，怕把你的假牙泡掉了，知道吧？你不想想这件事儿吗？
对，老
对不对
师姐赶紧以后给那个媳妇儿炖汤喝。
真正慈悲善良的，我还教你怎么做婆婆哈。
I'm teach you how to be a mother-in-law.
媳妇儿哈，首先现在一定要叫聪明能干。
First,
啊，恭敬孝顺。
you want
尤其
the
你
best
婆婆
daughter-in-law
公公一
is
般
those
好打
smart and
是不是
capable and
一个微
polite.
笑一杯热茶全搞定，是吧？婆婆呢是抓细节的，
对
婆婆是你们的阎王爷加监察官呐，黑白两道都管呐，那婆婆哈。是吧？牙没刷干净都不行，动作稍微差一点就没礼貌。对，婆婆是来。
But the daughter-in-law is very, the mother-in-law tends to be very
作为一
picky.
个慈悲啊，
So,
真正有
but you
智慧的
want to be a
婆婆啊
wise and a compassionate
一定要学
mother-in-law.
会睁只眼闭只
So
眼
that's why you must learn to
为什么
open
我
one
们能够
eyes
当
and
公
close
公
one
婆婆这个
eyes.
年龄的时候，一般都过了50岁以上呢。
Why is it that when you become a mother-in-law, you're always past 50 years old?
就让我们
Because
看清
your
楚明白
ability to
你才
see
叫真正才
clearly
有资格
has
当
dropped
婆婆
significantly.
知道吗？
You can't hear
他们
clearly
吵
now.
架的时候没打到
Why?
火爆的时候
So that
不
when
你
your
听
son
一定
and
要把这
daughter-in-law
个房门
fight,
关起来
you cannot see too clearly, you cannot hear too clearly.
等你到时候媳妇揪着儿子耳朵过来给你评理的时候，你先给你这个儿子揍2巴掌。
对。
And if the daughter-in-law bring the son and try to complain to you, you should scold your own son
我
first.
就揍死你孩子，要揍你亲儿子。
So you must learn to be a wise
我
mother-in-law.
告诉你，我看我这媳妇儿就是我亲闺女，知道吗？
You must see your daughter-in-law like your own daughter.
师傅，您教这真是亲师傅才这么教啊！
那怎么办？这让那徒弟在这犯错啊，这我就有罪啊！啊！
哎呀，感恩师傅。
你所以你要会去做。一定
So
要
you
记得
must
宽
learn
容
to be
是不是
a
啊
good
你儿子
mother-in-law.
还能叫你能真正揍死啊？但是你这动作和语言一说出来的时候，你那媳妇儿哈，对你忠诚的哈。
When you say that, when you side with your daughter-in-law, she will be so faithful and loyal to you.
告诉你，就你们家小金狗就是，
哎，这成金把儿又变成金啊，好吧。
知道吗？所以这就会做婆婆，一定把媳妇儿为好。
So you must know, you must take good care of your
不要
daughter-in-law.
去挑她毛病。
So do not be
知道
so
吗
picky.
让老板
Do not
不
pick
要
on
轻易
small
挑你
matters.
员工的毛病
It's just
千
like
万记
if
住
you're
这
the
点
boss,
当
you
老
don't
大
pick
级的
on small
当老太太
matters.
级的，当老元老级的，方丈级的，千万记住这些，都很好啊。
好。
You must learn to open one eyes and close one eyes and be pleased with
没听
everything.
清不知道， 我傻了，我老了，一定要这样子。你要做的就像英女皇出去之后，真好。
You will be like
OK,
the Queen of
一
England.
定要是这样子。
Just okay.
英国人受益了嘛？
That's why you look at the Brits, they benefited.
对不对？
That's why they have admirations for
那个还
the
受人
Queen.
爱戴
对呀。
笑死了。
对女皇下去之后是你这什么烂车啊？你看。
So if you look at the Queen of England, is she very picky? No, she's not. How does she treat
一下就把他那个
her servants
老板就得罪了。
and workers?
吓死我！
And that's why they're so loyal towards
很多
her.
网友现在都哈哈哈和鼓掌。
对不对？所以的话，你要以老为尊的话，
And
尊
that's why
是你只管看上头，千万别看下头的细节。
you try to avoid looking at the minute details.
你只说他的好。
You just
这是我
praise.
媳妇儿，哎呀，真
Praise
是
your daughter-in-law.
打着灯笼都找不着。
对，
这是我修佛求来的呀，要去这种感觉。
还真
你最后
是。
这些媳妇儿哈，会把自己这个弱点全变成优点。他觉得我亲妈都没有过这么多赞美。
Eventually, your daughter-in-law will love you more
我就忠诚
and feel that you are better than her own mother-in-law, better than her own mother.
对，
感恩我的亲师傅啊！
哎，但是这样的话，哎，你们两位想一想，对他儿子有没有益处？
But if you think about this, would this benefit the son?
让别人
Yes.
不可能的事儿，
哎呀，不但
周围她婆婆也不会逃走的。
他孙子都受益呀。
对呀，
Even the grandchildren will benefit.
绝对，
足啊！
那才叫和睦兴旺。
So then you will have a very prosperous family.
所以遇上挑刺儿老婆婆又不会当婆婆的人，不小心当了婆婆之后，就把自己家给拆了。
就是。
我遇到过一个拆台的老婆婆。
哦，
哎，
要听听不？
我说的是一个爱
I
情的
met
故
a
事。
really bad
当
mother-in-law.
年在我们国内中国
It happens
山东
in
某个
China, in
市
Shandong.
哎，我去的那是弘法哈。
I was there
那个
spreading
有
the
一个
Dharma
因为很多人啊，人山人
because
海
there are many
其
people
中有一
there.
个有各种的原因，
And one
有
of
的往
them,
身
for
边
many
服务
reasons,
帮着
they were there to
倒茶
serve.
倒水这个等等的干杂活儿搬矿泉水等等的也不辞辛苦，特别勤快那个人。
The
可是
person
那
is
个
very
人他当
hardworking.
年35
The person was
岁
about
36岁
36 years old, about that.
人特别好，和他接触的没有人
A
反对
very good
这
person.
这
Everybody
姑娘
loved
太
that
好了
person, loved
但
this
是大家
girl.
都说，有些长辈的女士们都说：“哎，姑娘，
But everybody
你结
asked,
婚没有啊？
Are you married?
没有呢。”最后把他给逼问的吧，就是说：“师傅，我跟你说说吧，你看
And
这些老师
she
总
said,
是问我结婚没有。
Master, everybody asked whether I'm married.
那我也问你为啥没
That's
结
why
婚
I
呢
want to ask you, why you're
说
not
长得也不
married?
错人品这么好
You look quite
做
good
事又勤
and
快
you are
你
very
怎么没结婚
hardworking.
呢
Why is it that
男
you're
的
not
当婚女
married?
的当嫁嘛
Isn't
他
it
就关心你才
usual?
问嘛，对不对？
People care about you,
说
that's why they
一坐下
ask
正
you.
说这事，眼泪哗哗哗就
And when she heard this, she started to cry.
他说有一个男生
She said there was a
他说
guy.
前头我从上高中上大学
From-
都有男生追她，都是
She
比较
has
优秀的
other
男生
guys
全叫他
that
妈呀
pursue her.
吓跑了，
But because of the
挑
mom,
着疙瘩拿
they
菜
leave
刀
her.
追人小伙子，哎，让人追跑了，告诉他闺女，男的全坏人，全流
And the
氓
mom said all guys are bad men.
啊。他妈妈好，差不多27岁就守寡。
A mom,
那个时候我也认识他
become
妈
a widow at
他妈妈
27.
60来岁了，
I know the mom. The mom was 60s, in the
单
60s.
身多少年呢？
She has been single for many years.
有男
Just
的
care
靠
for
近
the
他闺女
daughter.
他
Any
立刻
guy
就
that come too close to the
跟警察一
daughter,
样
she's
像
like
狼狗
a
一样就扑
policeman.
过来就会。对，不是护法神呐、
She's
那
like a
就光
Dharma
顾护法
protector.
啊，哎，光棍节的护卫啊，哎，后来就遇上个男的，追他女儿7年，
Later, there's a
这个
guy
男的
that
是个
fall
小
for
老板
her and
啊
chase
做
her
什么
for
建筑材
7
料
years.
啊生意不错，
He's
人品也
in
不错
business, quite a good person with
也
good
挣了很多钱
personalities,
但
makes
是
some
多一半的
money.
钱几乎全孝敬了，就是这姑娘她妈了。
But half, 50% of his
3天2
fortune
头到家来
gave
了
to the mom. Give to
天
the
接送
mom.
她闺女，但是走进她家来的时候，一定提着很多礼物。
So every time when she come to
7
visit
年
her,
没哄下来。
she needs to bring a lot of presents to the
厉
mom.
害呀！
对，3次
They
结
have
婚
been together
全部老太
for
妈
3 years. They've been together for 7 years, but
人家对他老太太，那都
Yes,
是特别
they-
恭维的话，买这么多东西。
and because the mom
他
is
就
so
说毛
difficult
主
to
席说了
please,
这糖衣炮弹下头一定有阴谋。毛主席
and
在
he
那时候
even
管
tried
啊，完了之后
to ask for
你
her
以为我
hand
这么高
3
兴
times,
你以为我就
but
相信了吗
failed
那流氓骗的全是红老太太
because the
帮的
mom has a lot of fear about guys. So keep telling the daughter that all men are bad, all men are
对
evil.
方哪敢乱说话？吓得好吧，好吧，那时候只能叫阿姨，阿姨是，我错了，我错了。不知道，但是人家回来说，我哪错了？可他姑娘说，我哪错了？我这么追求你，我换个女孩，我早给行了。人家女孩追我都没要，我就觉得你好才追你，追你7年。我说实在话，我头发都白了，我花了多少钱？
So this guy spent so much money and effort and time on the girl for 7
我哪花这么多
years.
钱呢？我挣的事业1半全给你妈了。对，就是这样。他妈的脑子年轻受了点伤之后，就觉得男人都不是好东西，全是
But
骗子
because of some
最后叫我都给他说服下，我说了他3回啊。
and
那
of
老太太是我说的次数最多的，最后终于投降了，知道吗？终于投降了。完了之后，我说的最终哈，我说你这样的姑爷，
I have to say
闺女对
to
你
the
好
mom
好啊
3
我闺女对我
times.
好我说闺女孝顺，对不对？
And I told the
还没
mom,
进门那女婿
is
孝不
this
孝顺的
son-in-law
人家
good?
没有来。
Yes,
对不对？
she's
你自己
quite
打开
good.
你的邻居有几个有亲儿子、亲闺女对他这么好的？
You go and find, is there anybody who have such good
心想
son?
是哦。
And
师
she
傅，你
think
说的
about
是
it.
哦。
He said,
我怎么
yes,
之前就没
master.
想明白
Why
这
is it
件
I
事
never
啊？
think this
将
clearly?
来你老了之后啊，
I said,
我
when
估
you're
计你能
old,
在床上躺3年，都是你的姑爷啊，
I'm
闺女
sure
伺候你。
it's your daughter
因为他
and
没有
your
别的孩子。
son-in-law will take care of you, even when you
你要指望
aged
他们啊，
and
你
you
不能
fall
老骂
sick.
他们呢。你闺女有这么好的福气哈，找这么一个男
It's so
生那么
good that
爱
your
她，
daughter is
他
able to
因
find
为
such
爱
a
她
good
爱你闺
husband.
女，所以他对你很孝敬。对不
Because
对？
he loved your
你
daughter
好
so
像
much,
亲生
that's
我，你还
why
给人赶
he
走
treat
出
you
去啊，
well.
而让你闺女一辈子再像你一样守寡吗？守活寡吗？那是否怎么办？我说立刻同意他们的婚事。
So the mom asked me, what should I do? And I said, you must agree to their marriage. And immediately she said yes.
师傅的话，
哎呀，
She
终于
listened
我
to
说他3
masters
回啊，一般人最多说
and
2次
I
投降
have to
这
say
是
3
3回
times.
这了才投降啊。
And after that, she
杨王爷都
agreed
说
to
不
the
服他。
marriage.
哎，所以他说投降了，后来啊，他闺女还真赶快呀哈，
And the
生2个
daughter
孩子
quickly have 2
那太
kids.
开心了，每天
And
逗着
she's
孙
very
子
happy and she has 2 grandchilds.
多好啊！
对，真是。所以作为长辈哈，尤其是娶亲来，不管是姑爷进门，
So
还是媳妇进门
if
哈，
you
你作
are
为这
the
样一种
elder of the
长辈
family,
的时候，
it doesn't
一
matter
定
whether
要
is
会
it
做人。
son-in-law or
这
daughter-in-law,
个辈分
you
在
must
这种
be
情
a
况下，这
good
种关系，
in-laws.
你要做的是什么？
So in that
只
relationship,
做一件事儿，
what
就
must
是
you
赞美。
do? You must just
而打心里就 praise
praise
是
your
好。
daughter-in-law or praise your son-in-law.
那你真的好。
Everything that the person
你
say,
看
you
你
must
自己
have
亲儿子、
praise.
亲闺女毛病多不多？
多
你自己想想，
对，
对不对？和你自己的孩子比比，人家那么表现，不就是为了让你觉得开心吗？他哄你开心，总比胜过说我不搭理你好吧？
It is good that they
对吧？
try
抓
to
你儿子
please
说不
you.
要回家，
Do you prefer
别理
that?
他。不是
Than
也
if
不
they
少
were
这
to
样的
just
媳妇嘛
not
对不对？
just ignore
人家
you.
到你那儿来帮助你的孩子事业，到你这儿来看望你之后，你老太太，你老太太不要去挑剔。
So
年
try
轻
not
人
to be too
是
picky.
他成长环境没这么多的教养，对不对？礼貌上少了一些，但是世界上有完美的吗？
没有。
There's no
我礼貌上
perfectionist.
面面俱到，我还能发大财，我还有智慧，我还能做事业，我还能织毛衣，还能生男孩儿，还能生女孩儿。天下有这种人吗？有给你定做个媳妇儿吗？
不是，就是有。
Is it possible to get a perfect daughter-in-law?
这咱儿子能配得上吗？
No, but even if there's a perfect daughter-in-law,
外星人啊，
is compatible to your son?
没有这样的。
No.
有什么锅找什么盖儿嘛。
关键有这样的人，你也轮不着你啊。
Well, even if
所以
there's
这
such
媳
a
妇就
perfect
不错
person,
了，
it
你
may
别
not
瞎
be,
搞了。
这就
if
已经是
your
修
son
整
may
的
not be
人家的
capable
媳妇儿真是这位。
to be attractive to
哎呀
her.
知足者常乐。
So you need
是
to
不
be
是啊？不
contented.
知足者，今天你就是成为皇
The
室
one
成
who
员
is
为了
easily
一个皇室
contented
也有造
will
反
find
了嘛，对不对？
happiness easily.
不知足也闹出很天下的风波，
多的人，
让天下人都耻笑他
就是。人家那么好的老太太，不也得受点气吗？
对呀，
真的，人家
所以
那么好的
话
口风。
That's why it's
但是
important to
他
be
皇宫也不
contented.
简单，那皇宫里头那造反派多了呀，
对
不对？
对，
就是因为不知足而弄是非啊，
是。
拨弄是非。
真的，
拨弄是非的原因就是不知足。
对，不知足
对不对？
So the reason why there are a lot of disagreement is because one party is not contented, the mom-in-law is not contented.
所以咱学佛要学成一个
So when we
宽容
learn
的
the
人
Buddha Dharma, we
啊
must
做一
learn
个
to be
慈悲而
contented.
宽容的人。
We want to be
如果他
magnanimous.
慈悲，到具体事儿的时候总去挑剔的话，那叫尖刻。 尖刻会迎来的将来迎头一棒可是很严重的哈。
就后悔都来不及。
哎，一定要宽容。
So it's important for you to
所以
be
做这样的
magnanimous.
长辈老人一定要包括当爷爷奶奶之后哈。
So especially when you become grandparents,
什么姑爷、孙子
you must
孙
treat
女
your son-in-law,
丈母娘
daughter-in-law
好
well.
吧？你就是要教成他们的，没办法。你的身份、你的职位就是这样，就是你。
And that is your role.
你比如说孙子的衣服当时，你怎么弄这么脏呢？真的，那媳妇听得高不高兴啊？
不高兴。
你们作为女人理解这一点了。
Well, if you always complain in front of your daughter-in-law or your son-in-law, would they be pleased with
怎
you?
么又黑又瘦呢？
肯定就是
媳妇儿
说我没
高兴吗？
喂好呀。
不高兴啊。
对。
但是媳妇不高兴之后，你儿子就
So
高
what
兴了
happens if your daughter-in-law is
明白
unhappy?
这个连
Will
锁
your
这个
son
关系
have a
多
good
可怕
life?
是。
所以
想的深远
No.
一点。
爷爷奶奶到这个长辈级别
And
的
that's
时候，
why
这样子说哦
when you are
太好了
grandparents,
哎呦
you
真
must
太
make sure
帅
that
了
you
你
praise your
太
son-in-law
可
or
爱了
daughter-in-law
哦呦，这么好看啊！
to ensure that your
这么
own
喜
child,
欢
your
啊
own son or your own daughter
这么
have
好
a
啊
good
咱们
life.
以变着法的赞美就完了，记住这一个概念。
Oh, just remember that's the importance of
一位好
praises.
婆婆3代好儿孙呐，
对，
真是他你
听懂了，他就
哎，要福泽好几代呀。
全家兴
老马
旺哈
师姐，可
全家兴旺。
So when you are
这个你这个
magnanimous,
掌
when
门
you're
人这尤其
tolerant,
是掌门人中
then
的
your
婆婆这位女
family
性哈
will have great
会乱
fortune.
说话的几乎都是女的，只有少数比较娘的这个男的才是乱说话啊。对，但一般的这个女的呢，说话多，挑剔多，挑剔越多，痛苦就越多。
对，
啊，
So
会
usually if the wife, if the girl, if a lady is more picky,
感恩师傅。
it will
祝福
cause
你
more
哈
trouble
找个好儿媳
to the
妇哈
family.
也
So I
祝福你
wish
的儿
that
子
you
能事业
have
成功哈
a good
哎
your son will have good career and you will have a good daughter-in-law.
对，给这位老弟子呢还给礼物，
And I have a present for you too.
媳妇儿也挑个小礼物。
给准媳妇儿咱得给咱们这个小伙子也给礼物哈，
哎呦我天哪，
对不对
太好了，那
现在
太大
跟全家人
福气了
礼物，
行，
同意。
我的个天呐！
我看给这位老弟子
这
呢
我，们的韩国网友都笑了。
给老弟子
家伙
给这个，哎，给这个，你看看，
这是给谁的？
给老弟子的，
哦
This is for the mother-in-law.
哟，收到。
哎，对
感，恩
这个哈
师傅，
给老弟子的哈，完了之后呢，给这个咱们这媳妇儿的哈，
So for the
咱家的
daughter-in-law,
媳妇儿，
哎呦，
哎，给这个，啊，这是真宝石的小手链儿哈，
哇，这个
哎，
很配他。
对，很配她。
this is for
年轻
her
美貌哈，将来事业有成哈。
对
so that she can have a good career in the
就把它
future.
拴住了啊。
好，还给我们这个帅哥哈，也是帅哥，给个小天珠啊。
And for the son,
事业哈，
对
for your
心
career,
想事成，
May
事业
your-
发达兴旺。
may you
哈
have a good
你们俩
career.
能够相亲相爱，还记住要孝敬老人，好吧？
Most important,
感恩师
must
傅。
be filial.
恭喜
今天老师姐头也不疼了，也不生气了，也不失眠了，啊，高高兴兴的，赶紧的啊，准备新房子吧。
失眠的一大原因就是，哎，这个跟儿媳之间的事儿想通了就好。
之前没想明白。
对，太感恩师傅了。
好，师傅说完了婆婆啊，接下来来说一个丈母娘的故事。
哦，丈母娘的故事还有。
对，这师傅啥都得知道。
哎呀，啥都得懂啊。
真是
对了好，
那咱们试试看。
来
好，
这个故事呢来自于我们新加坡的小辉。
This is story
师傅好
of Singapore.
我今年
Hello,
34
Master. I'm
岁
Xiao
是
Hui.
一名平面
I am
设计师
34 years old. In 2017, I start to date a guy that's 13 years older than me. I just look for a partner. Anyway, we are not so suitable, but I continue the relationship with him. In 2021, we happened to have a child. At that point in time, we were together for 3 years plus. We decided to keep the child, but my family members, especially my mom, was very against this idea, even suggested I go for an abortion. My mom felt that during that time to have the child is a wrong decision because that's the start of my career and I don't have a lot of savings and she don't like my boyfriends. When I was 25, I studied in London, a very renowned design universities. After I graduated, I returned to Singapore and I started to have this relationship with this guy when I was 28. At that point in time, he worked in the food industries, restaurant industries, and he smoked. And because of his work, he always drank with his clients. In 2021 August, I was pregnant for 9 weeks, and we decided to get married. Because my family were against me, I left home. My parents were divorced when I was 10 over years old. And after I turned 10, my dad has very little involvement in my life. My relationship with my mom is very good. I thank my mom for her investment. She makes some money, and that's why she was willing to spend more than 300,000 to send me to London to continue my studies. So my mom has made 3 points before agreed to our wedding. First, she wanted 15,000 USD as the dowry, and she wants my boyfriend to put 50% of the properties under my name, and I need to give my mom 1,000 US dollars. My husband was very angry, and she didn't follow my mom. She doesn't understand that my mom's intention is to protect me, so my mom is also very angry, and that's why throughout the whole pregnancy, my mom and I fight a lot, and we stop seeing each other. When I gave birth, my families are not with me. Only when my child is about a few months old, I make up with my family members, and I was very happy about that. But my mom, until today, my baby is already 16 months old. She didn't accept my baby as her grandchild. And actually, after the grandchild was a month plus, she has not seen my child. She refused to accept my child, and that's my greatest regret. Dear Master, I want to ask you, how can I try to clear this negative relationship between my mom and my husband? I cannot forgive myself, and this deeply affects me. I actually thought about separating with him, but my husband actually had a failed marriage once. His parents, when he was 3 to 5 years old, they divorced. He didn't come from a good family background, but through his own hard work, he managed to get 2 properties. He is very smart, although he's a little bit self-centered and a little bit cold at times. When we knew about my pregnancy, he was retrenched. He faced a lot of pressure, and because he's the only child, he needs to take care of his father, so he has quite significant expenses. Eventually, he found a job, but he has very bad luck, like being cursed. Everything was not too smooth sailing, but he chose to be very positive, and during my pregnancy, my relationship with my husband was very good. After my child was born, everything changed. I think I changed because I was very deeply affected by the relationship between my mom and my husband. I started to have some emotional problems. It's very easy for me to cry, and I always fight with my husband. And because of that, I actually throw tantrum at my helper. I feel a lot of pain. I have a lot of dreams for my life, but I felt that I have been blocked. And I'm at this cross point of my life. I cannot accept my husband's bad points. I cannot accept that I have to endure for my life in order to sustain my marriage. I feel that this is very difficult to achieve. Please help me, Master.
对，我觉得首先关键吧，我觉得可能她现在生活的矛盾最大的一个矛盾点，就是自己的母亲还是没有办法接纳她的丈夫，乃至于母亲。
I think the greatest problems for her is that the mom cannot accept the husband, and the mom cannot accept
那个原生家庭那个就有一个印尼
the
的小
kids.
姑娘，她也是恐惧结婚啊，有点像，因为小辉的妈妈呢。也是这个离婚的嘛。
I think because both of them they comes from a broken families. Both their parents divorced when they were young, and because of that, they have negative
妈妈呢，也希
impact
望小辉就
the
一切
child,
都
the
事业
kids.
也好，婚
So
姻
the
也
mom
好，
of Xiaohui
什么
wanted
都
Xiaohui
好
to be
而且很
successful
安
in
全啊
everything of her
找一
life.
个
护着他，
对，找一个如意郎君啊，就这
对
样。这个作为母亲的心
I think as a mom, that's we can understand that's very much the wish of every mom. And the mom have invested and gave all the investment to help her in her studies, to send her overseas to London to study in a very renowned design
所以
school.
她是很感恩
So
父
she's
亲
full of thanks, full of gratitude
好
towards
这
the
个
mom.
作为亲生爹妈爱自己，
I
这
think
个
as
是
parents,
人
we
之常
love
情
our we
啊
love
完
our
全可以理
children.
解哈
We can
也赞
understand
美
that.
赞美这个小辉的母亲。
So first of all, I want to praise Xiaohui's mom.
但是我们分析一下
But let's
小辉的个
analyze
人爱情故事。
the Xiaohui's
对
love
那
stories.
其实他找的这个男生呢，他跟这男生谈对象，是吧？男生比他大10来
Actually,
岁
this
哈
guy is older than her by 13
大
years.
一些，而这个男生呢有之
And
前有一次
this
婚
guy
姻
has a failed
婚姻
marriage
失败
before.
告终啊。但是他两个这个学历上有一些差别哈。
So I think
这个男
maybe
生没有受过
the
大
husband
学教育，
is not educated, doesn't have a university
就是去
degree.
英国留学，
But for this girl,
那
she
他有了
is
这样的一个，
she
毕
studied
竟你都是新
overseas
加坡人嘛，
and she's from
唯一差
Singapore.
异就是说
学历背景吧，
学历，
So the difference is that the educational background.
还有呢，
is
这小
different.
辉呢还是年轻姑娘，
And
是吧
Xiaohui is a
之前
young
没有婚姻，
girl. She
那
has
这
no
个男
other
生有过
marriage.
一次婚姻，
So for the
还有
guy,
可能是不是有过一个孩子哈？
so I'm not sure whether the
这个
guy
不
has
知道，
other
父亲要
kids.
不知道，还有个老
We do
父
not
亲
know, and he has an aged
而
father
最
to
近呢
take
工作
care
也
of.
不太顺利，
And recently, the business hasn't been too good.
这个男孩子也不是一无是处哦。
But
他
this
这个小
guy
辉的来信也说到了，其
is
实
actually quite
聪明而且
capable
是这个男孩子
and
也自己
smart.
知道自己就是没有这么好的教育
He knows
所以
that he
他还是
didn't
很
have
努
such a
力
good
所以他也
educational
用
background,
自
so
己
he
的努
worked
力
hard
还攒下了2套
and he
房
has
产
two
在新加坡
properties.
不容
In
易啊
Singapore, to have two properties is actually quite difficult.
我们看到这小辉的来信呢，就是作为这个姑娘吧哈，来的信，她这个表达的也包括和这个男人到了一起之后，要怀孕生孩子，还有一些
If we
因
look
妈
at
妈引起
Xiaohui's
的一
stories,
些
how
不愉快
her relationship with this
还有
man and her
那个
relationship with her
还提出
mom
了那个
and the
财
conflicts
三
with the
套彩礼的
mom,
妈妈的一些
And
彩礼的条件，
条件，
比如说先掏
the
1
mom
万5美金
demand
对
还每个月呢给他妈
生活费，
给他老岳母就是
赡养
the mom
1000多块
demand
钱的赡养费
demand from the future son-in-law, like he wanted some dowry and wanted the boyfriend to
女孩子
to have 50% ownerships in the first property under the
就
daughter's
是我
name.
在看这些事儿呢，我
As
们
I
一样一样
look
说
at
吧
this, let's talk about it individually.
我也看到这个小辉还是挺喜欢
I
他的男人
think
的
that Xiaohui quite liked the guy, quite liked the
意外
husband.
怀孕，但是还是决定
Although
结婚
she got
生
pregnant
子对
and
首
she
先你这
decided
个
to get
所谓
married
情是在的。
他们因为新加坡人学英文的多，学中文的少，
because in
所以
Singapore
我们
they
在
learn
不
English
能
more.
看他信中写信的那个水平哈，说意外怀孕，他是自己撞车意外啊，还是游泳意外啊？是不是？那不是爱情吗？因为爱情你才怀孕嘛，对不对？怀孕你乐意生下来，这更是一份很深沉的爱。
So you must have loved each other. That's why when you're pregnant, you decided to have the child.
啊，没有这份爱，不会有
If
这
there's
孩
no
子。
love, you will not
对不对？
want to have these
但
kids.
是这个时候呢，小辉也表示了一些细节，就是这个男生有些毛病。
But Xiaohui also
比如说，
mentioned that this
这个
guy
叫
is not
自我。
perfect, like he's more
啊，因为他年龄
self-centered.
大一些，自己闯世
Because
界了。
he is
我
older
说，哎，
and
这
he
个事你
started
不
his
懂，来，
career.
我说是这
So
样的。
partly also because
但是
he's
我
older
做这
than
个，你不
her,
要
so
管，
he
你反
seems
正
to
说你也
be
不懂。
more
确实有些这个年轻小姑娘没有真正踏入社会哈，所以对于生活中的细节、工作中的细节，
although
人
he may
处事的一
appears to be
些
more
事情
self-centered,
等
but
等很
partly
多事
also
情她是不
because
懂。
that
比如
the
水管漏
girl has less
小辉
of
懂吗？
life experience.
不知道怎么修，这男的说你别管了，
So
我来。
that's why the husband, who is more matured and has more life experience, become the
那
domineering
满了
person.
怎么办呢？对不对？所以男的说你不懂，我来处理，你不用管了
是，
你带好孩子就可以。说你去看电视去，这等等。有的时候说，小辉其实在我听到这个感觉就是，
When
经
I
常在
hear
生活的
this,
事件之中被否定中，男的说你不用管了，我来。
I could sense
这
that
样做
Xiaohui
才
has
对。有
been
时候当
has
个
been
像老师像父亲一样，
the
就说
husband
了
is more like a teacher or
有
like
这
a
个问题。
father because be a father figure because he's much older than
但是
her.
你想想，你换个 角度看，那不是你自己省事儿了很多吗？
对。
对不对？
Actually, you should look at it from a different perspective, because the girl may feel that the husband don't respect her, but in reality, he may be the one to settle a lot of the life
那
issues
时
for
候
her.
小辉又要挑理，说这个男人怎么这么没主见呢？啥都不懂，对不对？
对，
所以这个小辉这个说的这个男人这些事情，比如说包括抽烟喝酒，
So when she
还有应
mentioned
付客
about
人，
对，
他没有那么多的
smoking
学历，在新加坡挣钱不
and
容易的。
对
to
呀
drink,
我是非常了解这一点。
I can understand the
他的
husband
这个他的学历
because he
和
lacked
状况，
education
他已经挣下了2套房，
and he can have
在
two
新加坡就
properties.
算是个小的奇迹。
In Singapore,
说
it's
明这个
really a
男人是非
miracle.
常能干。
That means he's a
这
very
男的照
capable
片我见
man.
了
I've seen
啊
the
我
photos
从
of
面
this
相来
guy
看说这个
from
人
his
是
look.
非常能干，
I think he's a
并且
very
忠诚，
capable
并
man,
且还很孝顺。
and he's a very filial man.
其实师傅说到这一点，我也想到，因为他们俩不是怀孕的时候还没有结婚嘛。
I can
其
think,
实
I can
那个小
imagine
辉家人还劝
because
他就不要这个孩子嘛。
the Xiaohui family
可
asked
是
her not
小
to,
辉
to
当
have
然
an
也想要，
abortion.
但是这个男人的态
But
度很
this
重
guy
要的。
was
这
very
个男人
strong.
如果不爱她，没有
If
责
the
任心的
husband
话，
don't
一走
like
两
her,
之也没办法
it
呀。
is very easy for him
那
to
男
leave
人这个
her.
男生
But
还是
no,
选择了
I
没
think
有
the
再
guy
婚哎
is
生
very
子
responsible,
然后
supported
他们
her
住
to
在一
have the
起
child, they
哎
live
他是有
together.
担当的。
其实是有责任
So
心
he is
的
a very
当然了。
responsible
这还是
guy.
最后还是给了小辉一个安全的港湾的。
对
当然了，
He
对
provided
但是
her
他
a
那个
safe
矛盾的突破点
home.
在哪里呢？就是小辉的妈妈要条件，
But the problem is that
对。
Xiaohui's mom
3
want
个条件，
have set 3
吓着他
3
criteria,
个条件的时候，
and these 3
其实
criteria,
同样是提条件哈。
although
我
it's
觉得小
criteria,
辉的妈妈
but
提
I
条件的
think
方法不对。
the method
这
how
个
the
结果
Xiaohui
上提
moms
这些条件
set the criteria
是
are
不太
wrong
合理的。
because
就
they
是
don't
人听
seem
了不
to
舒服，
be
就像我刚才
very
讲的，结
reasonable.
婚，那丈母娘说一定要6万人民币，你不拿出来，我
And
婚你
it's
就
like
不
the
送
story
买。
that I shared, that the
300
mom-in-law
多位亲戚朋友
requested
都
for
在那个餐厅
60,000
等着，
RMB,
要
and the
一起
bridegroom
要
was
庆
so
祝婚礼，
angry that he
对不
left,
对？
and in the end,
那你
he
想这个
didn't
错
marry
误
the
呢？
bride, he married
是
the
那家丈母娘
bridesmaids.
的错误，对
So
不对？
whose mistake
但
is
小
it?
辉母
It's the
亲这个呢，
mom-in-law. So
提
look
条
at
件不
Xiaohui's
是这么
mom.
提的。
His
因为
her
你们不
criteria
是
are
说
so
两边打
difficult
谁
to
打仗
achieve
打输了之后来进行赔款条约，这个
because
不一
it is
样，
not
这个可以
something
很
like
严肃，就
it
这么
is
霸
a
道，对不对？你
negotiations
打
when there's a
你
lost
这个
battle.
是
No,
你是这种结
this
合呀，
is a
是你
this
闺
is a
蜜跟这个
union,
男
a
人要过一
union of
辈
your
子的时
daughter
候，
and a
你
guy
用
or
钱
the husband, and you're
来
using
来
the
约制对方
values,
的
the
忠诚，
money that
你用
to
钱
you
来决
use
定之后所
money
有的一
to
切的时候，
determine
这个
everything.
男人听了之后
Do you
心
think the
里就
guy,
凉
when
了，
he listened to
被
it, do you
刺激
think
到
he'll
了。
be very happy or he will be provoked?
这个可以理解，对。
你
被逼迫的。
对呀，所以这个男的就真的是心里就有点凉了，但是还是爱小辉。
But this guy still loves
但
Xiaohui,
是所以这个男的也知道是妈妈要求过分了，
and
他说必须
the
拿我之
husband
前
the
的
husband also
那
know
个
that
买
it's
那
the
套房
mom-in-law
子一
that's
定要
too
把小辉名字写
demanding.
进去。妈妈为了安全，但是让男生觉得不安全了。
So the
你这
mom
个
actually
有
want to
点
make the
过了。
daughters be safe,
他
but
这
for the
个
guy,
你知
he
道，
feel unsafe.
这个男人如果有钱给你闺女，是他的情义所致。
If he wants to
他的
give
情到那儿，
anything to your
他把他的
daughter,
命交给你都可以，
it's
知道吗？
because of
所以
how
情义
much
到
he
这儿，
loves the
我
wife.
一结婚说
the
你
daughter
必须这样这样这样。其实很多时候，我觉得我个人认为，我个人也不代表着真理哈。我个人认为，你是一种爱情要结婚的谈判，用这个生硬的方法的时候，
Personally,
是同样这
I
件事，
feel
但是
that
你这
when
样
you
说出
bring
来
in
就
so
不合
much
适，
monetary
让
elements
这个男人就
into
会
a union
小
type
看你，
of
这个人通过只
negotiation
用
is
钱
not
会闹出
appropriate.
这个误解，知道吗？
It will
显得
cause
闺女就不值钱了。
misunderstanding.
我是不
It
是这
just
个男人
div-
是不是可以
it
用钱
just
解决好所有的事情啊？
belittle the wedding, belittle the
意思
marriage.
就是说，这个男的他有以这样的反应也是挺正常的，是可以理解的。
So that's
啊，
why
是
the
的，
reactions
妈
of
妈
the
你也
guy
要
is
从另
acceptable.
外一个
I
角
think
度
the
来
mom-in-law,
看
the
一下
mom
这
should
个事
look
情。
at
当
the
然，
whole
你要从也
perspective,
有理啊，
the
有
look
你
at
的这
the
个
whole
道理。
issue
那
from a
他们
different
在一起
perspective.
过不过，我们没办法去操这个心啊。
对对。
但是我告诉你，这个男人是我知道，这个男人我到现在不知道
I
他
do
是
not
谁啊，
know
名字
who
我都
is
不知
this
道，
guy. I
所
don't
以我
even
不
know
认识
his
他
name because I
啊。
don't know
但
him
是我觉得
personally.
这个男人
But
啊
I feel
是
that this
新加坡
guy
当中非常有担当，
is a very
而且特别
responsible
能干
guy, a very
他学历
capable
高
guy.
他特别聪明，
Although
特别能
he's
做事
not
业，又特别
very
能挣钱的一个人，
educational, but he
将来是
can
一定
find
有一定
money.
成就的人。
He will achieve success in the future.
所以你们闺女跟他过不过，我就不知道了。
I do not
妈妈要
know.
不这条件，我也没办法去左右。
I can't tell you about your criteria.
祖孙3代的那个照片哈。
But I saw the 3
所
generations,
以就
the
是
pictures.
这个男生其实还是挺孝顺。
Actually, he is a very filial.
父亲嘛，
对，
他的孝顺也是有的。
He is
因为我
a
看到他
filial
和父亲的合照，
Look at the
你看他歪着
picture
头
with
在父亲
relationship
面
with
前
his
撒娇
father.
是
那种感觉。
The
他
feelings is
看
very
到父亲
good.
在一起的时候那份真诚，那份开心
The
的感觉，是
sincerity.
这个很孝顺的儿子。
He is a very
而且从
filial
他父亲
son.
脸上看到哈，说人家的上辈是积过德的，
And you can
所以
see
孩子
that
还这么
he
聪明
has
能干，
accumulated merits.
是这样
And
子的。
that's why the son
做
is
过
so
好事的。
capable.
是。
哎
You have done
说
good
挑
deeds.
人也挑人家哈，就看这个背景家庭哈，
对
这点挺重要的。
对，
And that
所
is
以我一忠告
important.
小辉呢，我说忠告，我也怕得罪你哈，但是还忍不住说这句话。
I just want to tell you, Xiaohui,
你和人结合就不要去挑剔。
once you are in a relationship, once he's already your husband, don't be so picky.
我们非要用佛教的话说，你应该是不抽烟、不喝酒、3从4德、过午不食等等，你干脆直接出家算了，你还嫁个人干嘛呀？
Because he
是不是
needs to
啊
have a
你这结婚就
career.
偷情了，知道吗？
So it is not like he has an
你
affair
是嫁给这个
outside.
男人
No.
这个男人在
So do
闯
not
事业
comment that
我
he
就很
smoke,
难
he
是说
drinks with his
这样一个在
clients.
新加坡闯事业的男人，他也没那么光鲜的背景，对不对？他跟人去拉着各种的关系谈业务。
He used
他
this.
不
This
抽
is
烟
his
不喝酒
method
行吗？
to.
他没有想到更高雅、更风雅的方法呀。
This is his
这是
method
非
to
常
have
合
a,
理
to
的。
build
姑娘，你
relationships
别说
with
不接受，
others.
你找下一个远远不如他。
But I can
这是
tell you,
很难得的。
if he is a very good man, so if you try to find another man, you may not be as good as the current
婚
one.
姻呢，这个先生啊，你一开始再满意，你日子过久了，你也看他，哎呀，这个毛病那个毛病也是一。
Actually, I just want to advise you, Xiaohui, that in a relationship, the husband, as time passes, you will start to see all the bad habits.
他是男人，对不对？
是
他和你一样，早晨起来开始画眉毛的时候
对，
那你受得了吗？
受不了。
还是你男人吗？
还是要想一想当初你愿意跟他，比方说交往。
You
有
try to
亲密
think,
关
why
系
is it that
那个时
you,
候你爱慕他
why do you like
对
him?
不对？
What are
那
the
个时候
things
他
that
又
you
有哪
like
些
about him?
吸引你的那些
What are
才
his,
华呀
what are
对
the things that
贴心的
attracts
告
you
诉啊
to
对
him?
不对而且这个男生他并没有描述说，哎呀，婚前是这样，婚前后。
Actually, he didn't change. He has always been consistent before marriage and after marriage. And actually, during when you were pregnancy, he took care of you.
重新又东山再起。
And even he lost his job, he tried to work hard to look for jobs.
没有把这些压
And he tried to be very positive and took good care of you even after kids.
如果你真是
even
有福气
pregnancy
的姑娘的话，哈，你要很忠诚这个男人，跟他好好过下去。
My advice to you,
别跟他挑剔
Xiaohui,
眼光了。我觉得你呢，我这么说你，我是觉得你是有点特别单纯，
I think you're too simple-minded.
所以你根本不知道江湖是多么水多么深。你遇上好男人错过，将会你一生最大的伤感。
If you miss this man,
你别
you will
错
be
过
your
这个好
greatest
男人
regret.
好，小辉应该听懂了。
I hope that you understood what Master tried to share with
应
you.
该是挺有福的，找了一个很有富的。
I think you are very lucky to find him because he's willing to be
小
responsible.
辉呢，就是我理解他呢，他就是说他找到挺好的，但是他为什么老是那么纠结呢？就是他现在一边是爱情，一边是亲情，他在夹在中间了。
是。
小辉，这个就是你听一听前面师傅给其他年轻人讲的。
So, my Xiaohui, you should listen to Master sharing with others,
强大起来
and then you must make yourself
包括你的
strong.
这种价值观呐
And also your own
经济境
values.
界啊，所有的这些，你强大起来，你坚强起来。
And when
妈
you
妈
are
说
strong,
没错，你把你的生活过好。
you live a good life,
三口哈
you take good care of your family.
慢慢的，妈妈会
Slowly,
接受
mom will be able to accept your
是
husband.
小辉自己哈，在这个两情之间呢，有点发懵了。
没错了。
Actually, it's Xiaohui, you are the one that's the confused
本来
one.
你在给我
You
写
love
信的
this
时候就
man,
有点
but
漂泊哈
in-
这个感觉
当然他也不想
In the
他也不
writing,
想伤妈妈心
you
嘛
were a
那你
little
不能
bit
这样啊
了，对。
not
像我
clear.
之前在中国那个女青年那个事儿，妈妈一直反对，
对
是不是啊
对？
妈妈不一定都是对的。
But you must understand, mom is not always right. Although the mom love you is right, but her decisions may be
这个是
wrong.
不太正确哈。
是
我也提醒这位妈妈哈，将来可能你会，比方说你会，我们家乡话就逮得上这个女婿的计，就将来的话，
就
你会
享女婿
这个
的福。
这个姑爷哈
哎，
会给你带来很多的 福分和荣耀。
My advice to this mother-in-law is that you do not want to miss this opportunity because this son-in-law will be a good son-in-law that can bring you great fortune. So, Xiaohui, you want to follow this guy.
对我返回来说，退一步说，难道你想步你妈妈的后尘吗？
那肯定
Do you want to follow your mother's path?
过好，妈妈都是希
No,
望自己的孩
you
子
want to
过
have a
幸
good
幸
life.
福嘛你真
You
的
want
过
to
幸
have-
福了，妈妈一定会接受
Once
你
you
的
have your own happiness,
因为妈
your
妈
mom
就都是心
will be
软
happy
的
as well.
都是这样子的。
是妈妈把你对这个姑爷要的那些经济条件，请你收回，好吧？因为你这姑爷他是真诚的爱你这个。
Mom, can you just not have the 3 criteria for your son-in-law? Because your son-in-law really loves your daughter, and that's the most important thing.
其实那个硬条件最后让你姑娘反而抬不起头来，
没错
让你也不好面对这姑爷哈。这些条件就取消，过去我
So get rid of all this criteria,
好好
let them live their own life, and just wish them well. Send your best wishes to them.
对，好好
最终就是你们全家人其乐融融哈。
And if you can overcome that, overcome the hurdle, you will have a good family.
很吉祥的人，知道吗？
He is a very auspicious
对
guy.
对你的姑娘将来一定是好的。
He is very positive influence on your
千
daughter.
万不要错过这份福分。
Don't miss this great fortune.
祝福
Thank you, Masters, for Masters' blessing.
他的故事啊，
是，今天故事这么多，咱们就讲到这儿吧。哈
There's so many stories, so let's
给，
so we have a presents for them too.
礼物。嗯，
先给小辉。
对，这个他们小两口都给哈。
好，
嗯，给小辉。给小辉一个这样的银的哈，这个耳坠哈，叫普梦网，这是我们这个印第安人普梦网。
This is the
让
earrings,
自己幸运啊，
dream
让他
catcher,
这个一生吉祥啊。
wishing you auspiciousness throughout your year,
对
throughout your
这是
life.
男生哈，来，哎，这个衫儿哈，
And this for
菩
you,
提禅修，
Bodhi
心
t-shirts,
经啊，
the Heart
心经
Sutra.
就让这个莲花放光，这些放光呢都是心经当中的经文哈，哎，送给这位小辉的
This is for
这个
Xiaohui's
先生
husband.
祝愿你们俩呢，这个幸福长久，白头
Wishing
到
you
老啊，
happiness,
对，孝敬双方的父母长
be
辈
filial
啊
to both parties'
祝财源吉祥
parents,
祝你的
and
小宝宝
wishing auspiciousness to
健康
all,
成长
and wishing your
师
baby
傅到太棒了，
to grow healthy.
哇
grow up
今天
healthy.
好精彩哦
This is a
你说的
great
虽然是
contents,
这个
Master.
家长里短的哈，可是都非常重要，事业、
These
婚
are all
姻
important
爱情
contents,
这些感恩师
the
傅
main issues of life.
啊。那我说一下下一场直播
好，
啊，下一场直播的时间
So
跟
the
主题啊
next-
就不太一样了。
The
那
next
是我们的
live
北美
broadcast
文
is
化时
different.
间是7月16号
It's on
啊，星期
July
六
the
的
16th,
晚上6点钟，那也是台
North
亚洲
America
台北时
time.
间。对
It is
7月
Sunday,
17号的上午9
July
点
the
钟。
17th,
那这一天呢是
9
因为
a.m.
是观世音菩萨成道日哈。
Because
在亚
it's
洲来
Guanyin
说是正日
Bodhisattva's
子那这一
Enlightenment
天
Day,
呢我们
actual
将
day, we
在
have
师
a
父的带领
blessing
下哈我们来
ceremony.
举办一个观世音菩萨闻声救苦吉祥法会。那么同时也是观世音菩萨保佑我网络念佛班的
It is
第一
also
天
the first day
请
of
所有
the
的网友们
class.
啊，我们把7月16
of
号、
the
17
chanting
号
class
就是这一天准备好，然后接下来的7天同样的时间都准备好。
So the
我
subsequent
们
7
跟着
days,
师
we're
父
going to
一起
have
吉
this
祥
Guanyin
真诚地
Bodhisattva's
去
protection
念佛
chanting
祈请
class.
佛菩萨的护佑，让我们的人生平安幸福、健康快乐。
好，到时候欢迎大家参加哈。因为
So
这个时
wishing
间会
all
有一点
to
调整
join.
哈记住这个时间
So
上的一个
remember the
小
time.
小的调整，欢迎大家呢，你这个叫上你的好朋友，全家人
So we
都来
invite you
参加法
to
会，
ask
都
your
来跟着
friends
一起
and
念佛
relatives to come
就
and
获
chant
得
together
吉祥
so that you
慈悲的
gain
护佑
this
啊
auspicious
佛菩萨
energy, auspicious
只要他
blessings.
在他的意识之中关注了你，觉得你要吉祥，
As
哇
long as the
那你
Buddha
就是大
Bodhisattvas
福大贵了。
want you to
哎
have
希望我们的真
auspiciousness,
诚能够打动
then you
观世音
will
菩萨
gain great
能护佑我
fortunes
们
and
如
wealth.
意吉祥
and will provide you with
一切美
protections
好的梦想啊。
and fulfill all
今
your
天呢，我们
dreams
就
in life.
讲到这里哈，祝大家健康
So I
长
wish
寿，
all health and
全家幸
happiness.
福欢乐。我们下次法会
Let's
时
meet
间哈，
next week
再见。
during the blessing ceremony.
就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点滴，越睁眼的升起。我智慧了，